everybody. Let me do this. Let me do this, and let me do that. Today is Monday, December 7th. And the Finder has come out. Give me a
I was gonna say,
second.
are we actually live?
Yeah, I think so. Give me a second.
Oh, there it goes. Watch
Yeah,
live now.
delayed. That's all. All right. The Finder will join us momentarily. No, that's Cynthia coming back. Yeah, all right, everybody. Today is Monday, December 7th. We had a little internet issue there for a second. We're going to have Cynthia on. We may have one more special guest to join us that is not the Finder. And yeah, the Finder came out, and let's talk about it. I know some other people have talked about it, but we've got to talk about it. There he is. Here comes our fourth guest. Take it away, K-Pro.
Okay, everybody. It's been a big day in the treasure hunting amusement park because we're looking at the Forrest Fenn ride that's closed down, but we're still talking about it. So we have two special guests, Justin. And is Tucker around, or is it just you tonight?
Oh no, he's always around. It's
Nice. So we thought, and that empty seat should eventually be Cynthia. She was going to get some different lighting. I see the lighting moving around. So because we're going to talk a few things today. You guys have seen some articles out. We're going to weigh in on that. But I've been in contact with the Finder, and I think others may. Some people have sent me the emails that they have gotten. They've asked me to read them. I'm more than happy to. And then we're going to weigh in on the GPS solve that I think was heard around the world. And I was able to get direct communication. You always go to the source. Rather, the source, get it? See what I did? Not the source. You go to the direct person. And I've gotten confirmation about our source and the GPS solve. So we thought we'd bring it all here, a jam-packed show. So how are you, Cynthia?
Frazzled.
Oh, your microphone works.
I had to go get the headset. My laptop wouldn't let me connect with the audio.
Huh.
So what the heck?
Yeah.
So now I'm on the throne.
So Zozo Rocks, how did you know something was coming out this week, last week? Sources. Sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong, we have found out.
So
you guys will.
wait a minute. Does this mean the Finder did have an attorney? Is that what we think this means, K-Pro?
What do you mean? Some people have said no. Yes, you'll see tomorrow, and you're hearing it here. You'll see tomorrow. And I think for those of you that didn't see the meltdown heard around the world on YouTube, I do believe now we have two videos of the actual attorney from the Chicago lawsuit stating such. So yes, the Finder, in my opinion, has lawyered up, and he came out with lots of information today. So some things are confirmed. I'm not going to say everything is right all the time. Anytime you get secondhand information, it can be wrong. But when I said I confirmed it with someone in Santa Fe, that meant I confirmed it with someone in Santa Fe. I'm not going to say who on everybody, just like I know a lot of people are like, hey, guy, I'm sorry. I know that I'm low, but this is the best I can do. I'm having issues. Mike, we need to fix this. So anyway, I'm not.
What happened?
They're saying my mic is low, but
It's not that bad.
Okay. So my volume is low. I'm going to try to do my best. It's probably better because I'm usually the loudest one. So Mike, where do you want to start? Where do you guys want to start? Let's. Do we want to start with the articles out? Where do we want to start, Mike?
I just want to remind everybody that we do talk about the treasure hunting amusement park, even though the big roller coaster got shut down. Tonight, we're going to talk about Forrest Fenn Treasure Found, but we are going to make other videos about the treasure hunting amusement park. Make sure you thumbs up the video, super chats on if you have a question you just have to have answered, or you just want to support the show. And thank you to Justin and Cynthia for coming on. You guys were the three that went out there to what we thought was the correct solve, and we're going to talk about that. Yeah, so the Finder finally decided to come out.
Can I say something? I think some things are going to be confirmed.
How many exclamation points is that?
5 exclamation points.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Should have added an extra for good riddance.
And also, I'd like to give K-Pro 2 thumbs up for that billboard.
Well, there's 5 exclamation points for the 4 of us plus Tucker. You guys know that, right? There's 5 of us in this thing. I just made that up. All right. Cynthia, what do you think about the Finder coming out? The reason why he did, and so he says he did, how he's doing it, all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts?
I am so delighted because I get to go boots on the ground again. And I can't wait for the snow to melt. Justin and I are going to get our butts up there, and whoever else ends up there.
You're going where?
To Yellowstone to find the new spot. That our other spot was obviously wrong. Now we have to
we
find
haven't confirmed that. Should we start with
whatever.
that? Should we start with that?
So you believe it is in Yellowstone, Cynthia?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Until I don't.
Yeah,
Is there a reason I shouldn't? I mean, yes. I mean, yes, I believe it's in Yellowstone, but if the Finder comes out and says it absolutely was not in Yellowstone, then okay, then I'll look somewhere else in Wyoming.
Isn't it interesting though that the Finder, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to go through all 3 articles, but the Finder never said it was not in Yellowstone. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's correct.
Don't you think if it wasn't in Yellowstone, he may have mentioned that just to keep people from, I don't know. It's just a thought. What do you think, Justin, about all?
Oh, your audio cut out for just a minute. I missed the question. Sorry.
What do you think about all this, about the Finder coming out and the way he
Oh.
did, the reason he did, that kind of fun stuff?
The news is exciting, but I think the pretenses are unfortunate. I mean, if you think what caused him to come out, I think that's it's just a sad state of affairs in our legal system, is, for lack of a better term. I think it's really unfortunate. Like, if he wanted to remain anonymous, he should have remained anonymous, and to be forced out in this manner is just, it's sad to see. Yeah.
I personally can't believe a judge would force him to give his name. I don't even understand why that went through, but I mean, obviously don't understand how the legal process works. So.
Well, so why don't we start there? So the information I did get last week was the subpoena was granted, the Finder had lawyered up, and the reason for that is the Forrest heirs, the subpoena was transferred from Forrest to the heirs. Let's just say, I don't know how all that worked. Let's just say Zoe at this time, because she was the executor. Zoe was going to be mandated to hand over the Finder's information, and that has to happen by tomorrow. So I believe what happened, and I have some confirmation, is the Finder basically said, if I'm going to have to hand it over to a lawyer that is suing me in this way, I'm going to do it on my own terms, and came out with the articles today before that information had to be turned over to her tomorrow. That's how I understand it. So he has come out, and he's not only come out with, here's the story, but another article that says, and here's how I'm protecting myself against not only lawsuits, but stalkers. He had to move, he had to do a lot of things. So I think it was very calculated for protection at this point. And
yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's really sad that, he's had to uproot his life and move just to accommodate this, all because of folks that are just being nefarious. It just really bothers me.
Okay, Pro, some people think you're a horrible person because you contacted this person that wants to be private. You want to say something about that?
yeah, so the people that think I'm horrible, I think are always going to think I'm horrible. And no matter what I say, I'm horrible. These are the same people that are threatening women, families. But anyway, I'll digress there. So the Finder was very clear, I think, in his article. He doesn't want anyone coming to his home. He does not want anybody coming, I'm sure, to his work. Do not call him, etc. Then he gave an email address and said, if you contact me, basically, he's just like Forrest. I'm going to decide who I communicate with. I may not answer you. I may communicate with you in different ways, but he's basically saying, I'm taking control of my life. So just like anyone can, I emailed that address, and now I've had communication with the Finder. Am I going to go into every detail like I did with Forrest? No, there's no good to be had from it. But am I going to share? And maybe that's where we should start. So I asked for my own personal reasons, and I put it on there. I would like to know if you know the source. I put the source's name, and I put the GPS solve. I'd like to know if there's any validity to it. Here's where, just in case he didn't know, I gave a little detail. I'm sure all of you guys don't know. There was a solution that we went out and looked at, and it revolved around a GPS, homophones, and kangaroos. And I will tell you, his response was, I do not know your source. That person, I do not know. And he wasn't ambiguous. And he said, no GPS coordinates. So you kind of go directly to a person. And so that for me, I guess I was a little bit in this back and forth. We had already caught a bunch of inaccuracies after the fact. The one thing I will say, at the time that we traveled up and we got Justin involved and all of this happened, and when we went to the location, I'll just speak for me. I 100% believed it. I 100% believed in my Ojo Caliente solve when I went to Ojo Caliente. And when I went to Lake Heron, went to Lake Heron. Until I have information otherwise, that is what I'm going to believe in. I was honest with you all. And today is the day that I say, I'm not sure if the source lied. I don't know if the source is delusional and actually believes it, because Mike, you communicated with the source today, and he still believes his solve is correct. And that's the final location, and he still believes he knows the finder. I don't know enough at this point about the person to know, is it intentional? Is it lying or delusion? I just know it's not factual.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. I said back when we did the show with the confirmed, I'd be the first one to say if we were wrong, we were wrong. I'll be the first one to admit it, first one to say it. Thumbs up for being wrong. But I did talk to the source today and say, hey, you saw the article. What's the deal? And this person still believes that the GPS solve is correct and that we were in the right location. I don't know how, and again, I don't know how they could say that, because it contradicts what the finder said. But again, we went off the info we had from the source. Well, now we have the finder themselves. So I'm going to believe the finder over the source, of course. For the people that are doubting the finder, you have a picture of him in Forrest with the treasure chest, with the contents on the table. I don't know how you question that it's legit. I definitely don't. So I'm going to go by what the finder says. And if the finder says no GPS, then no GPS. Yeah, that's kind of it. And then as far as you being so horrible that you emailed him, if he didn't want to be emailed, he wouldn't have put his email address in the article. Now, again, he reads those emails and maybe he'll disregard them at some point because he gets hundreds and hundreds, but that's on him. Nobody can fault K-Pro for emailing him, for emailing anybody when they put an email address out there and say, email me if you want to. So,
yeah, the email address, I think, is, it's pretty clear that's probably not his normal personal email. It's probably something he set up ahead of time in order to redirect the masses toward, a more suitable location, and then he kind of pick and choose whether or not he wants to view the emails. And it doesn't interrupt as much with his, personal email flow as it would otherwise. But, I agree that, it was a smart move to put out an email address or some way for folks to feel that they have a way to vent or get in contact with them. And, it's his choice whether or not he wants to respond or engage at all. So I think it's reasonable overall. And, I've got a lot of questions around the geographic coordinate solution. And I'll just reiterate that, at least from my perspective, I don't think I've ever mentioned that I was 100% convinced. It was a solution that I think warranted investigation, and that's what we did. I think the most interesting part to me, just personally, is the Tucker implication, as it a lot of folks are pointing out. And as far as I can tell, what I would maintain is that I suspect that maybe someone had been there ahead of time. I don't know. Maybe they had placed objects there before. I don't know. I was surprised to see that Tucker did sit, and I don't have a definitive explanation. Maybe it was completely off base. Maybe he smelled something that was there at some point. I guess at the end of the day, I don't have an explanation beyond what I saw.
Well, someone did ask in the chat if Tucker has now lawyered up due to the situation.
I'll pass that along.
Well, then we'd have to know his true identity. We don't want to know Tucker's real name, do we?
Well, and somebody else, Redneck Express, put in the chat, Amy's Seek Show earlier, Amy had emailed back and forth with this person. Matt smelled the sunshine. Copper Dan seems that everyone who emails him gets a reply quickly. Very interesting. My guess would not everyone, but it seems like there is an intent to get closure to the community. So the people that maybe are genuine and just asking the general inquiry, those that are maybe cursing or saying terrible, horrible things, I would suspect like Forrest, he just doesn't respond. So my suspect is not everybody, but it is nice to know he is emailing lots of different people. Good on him that he's taken the time, because he doesn't have to after how this community has treated him. I don't know if I would, but I understand. I sure would like to know I didn't actually care about his name. I cared about the solution. And and respect that he has said he's not going to. He did tell me that he is not going to give the location.
He did leave a hint. Did you guys see in his email address? It's the name and then a bunch of numbers. His Gmail. Those numbers are the GPS coordinates in reverse.
Is there a kangaroo word in the name? Oh my God.
You're right. Sue F.
Apophenia run amok again.
That's what it is. I mean, I want to email him and say, try the wheel. Does that have anything to solve? So we've got try the wheel. If you shift the lines of the poem, it does in fact say try the wheel, WYMT. Certain lines, anagrams, the Matiti, pitchfork, realm of horn. I mean, there's so many seemingly coincidences with this 166 word poem. Those numbers are there. If you read them and add them, I mean, they're there. It's crazy to me that all this is coincidence. Yeah. We'll see.
And some people have asked, will we now out the source because he obviously told us wrong information? No. And I just think that would be wrong to do. I don't know if frustrated is the right word. I do feel duped. I feel silly. I feel all those emotions that are like, okay, I think we knew, we being Cynthia and I and Justin, a couple times when we discussed like, this doesn't seem to fit or that doesn't seem to fit. But I'm not going to be vicious on anybody. I'll just say, yeah, you got us. Either intentionally, you lied to us, or not intentionally, and you're not doing well in here, and I hope you get help. So what do you think, Cynthia?
I could be vicious as hell. I suggest that he not come to Las Vegas for a long time.
Uh-oh.
Just saying.
All I will say,
he does have an invite, and
of course, as everybody does, the World Series of Fenn. Yeah. Oh, what? Go ahead.
Well, whatever.
I cannot control Cynthia. I think some people that actually, they also did make trips and things, and your information wasn't correct. There was money expended. I mean, I'll never sue or do any of that. I had the adventure of a lifetime with these people.
I need Barbara's lawyer's name. I'm kidding. I better say I'm kidding about all this, just in case everyone thinks I'm serious. But regarding, I almost said his name, regarding the source, I don't think it's cool what he did, although I must say that Operation Nook, that the three of us actually went boots on the ground, and Mike supported us every minute while we were doing it. It, for me, was the final boots on the ground. I mean, it was incredible. I just loved the adventure. And what I talked about to K-Pro earlier today is we saw Tony for the last time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That made it worth it right there.
And you know what? True. I think there was God's intervention, because literally when we were driving in, we passed him just randomly on the road. And I said, that was Tony. And Cynthia's like, Tony who? I said, Rockhound. And she's T-Bear. And I text him. I said, was that you? And he goes, are you in Yellowstone? How'd you know I was here? And we just like it was the most random thing. We saw him on a street corner in Yellowstone. It was just, and we spent 2 or 3 nights with him. Yeah. I still have his rocks, and I have, everything. So for that alone. So, but still, source, you got us. Ha ha.
But I will say that in my correspondence with the source, he seems genuine. There is no ha ha, I got you. There isn't any of that.
Then that makes him crazy.
Now would be the time to do that if that's what it was, if it was some kind of a setup or something. But he seems genuine. So that's all I can say. And we'll see. He says, just wait, more to come. Whatever that means,
Yeah, so there's lots of other so we put the baby to bed, that GPS solve, and I know some people say, and I've heard them say and really, really get angry, they've picked their solve. They're never allowed to no, see, you don't get that right in my life. I can change anything I want. Hey, guess what? I'm back on the GPS solve today. Oh, no, switch back. Guess what? I get to do that. And you don't get a vote on that. Just like we're not allowed to come on live tonight. Yeah, actually we are. How you doing? So in general, to me, the GPS solve, once I've heard directly from the finder, and I believe that is the finder, for me, the GPS solve is the baby is put to bed. Baby's out with the bath. Baby's gone.
And as far as being wrong, everybody was wrong except the finder. I mean, every single person was wrong except the person who actually found it. So, yeah. Anyway, and then somebody pointed out that Forrest forgot to put the frog in the chest. Did you guys catch that? Go in the get it? I mean, yeah, that's kind of, and that's the frog that you wanted. Is that the frog they're talking about, K-Pro? The gold frog? Or it's a different frog?
Supposedly there was 2 frogs. I would have taken either one, just
Yeah,
happily.
right. But
That's what I should email the finder. Like, I have a wedding.
Hey, there's a frog.
I'd love a frog. No, I'm kidding.
But then Forrest went in the vault and was like, here, I forgot to put it in. I mean, one, good for Forrest. He's owning up to what he said that he would do, but wow, that he forgot it.
Yeah, you got to wonder. I mean, it just seems like for so many years of planning, it might have been a little haphazard toward the end there, like forgetting to include the frog, sticking those scissors in there. It's like, come on now.
Stick in there.
Yeah.
I know. It's pretty funny. Yeah, go ahead, Cynthia.
Oh, I'm sorry. Regarding, so the finder found it like on June 6th, and then he made the long drive to Santa Fe. So that was cool to know. It was immediate, whether it took a day or 2 days, whatever. And then he actually says about the frog wasn't there. Forrest found the frog in his vault. So I'm thinking the vault pictures need to be scrutinized for no reason.
Oh, you mean it wasn't in the vault? It was on a shelf the whole time when we were
Well,
out.
no, I found it. The fact that the finder just revealed today in the video or his story that the frog wasn't in it. I mean, it means absolutely nothing except it's like, wow, I wonder if I actually ever saw that frog when I was in Fenn's vault. And it's like, how could I have not noticed the frog? And it's like, what the heck what else was I not noticing? This has nothing to do with anything. Never mind.
Well, maybe that's
no,
how
it's pretty cool to think about, though.
Maybe that's how Forrest knew it was going to be found. Somebody was going to call him and say, "Where's the frog? There's no frog in here." And you said, and then he'd be like, "Yeah, it's in my vault. Come on over." I don't know.
Well, so let's talk about a few of the things. I think we've probably all read, so we don't need to go over every bit. But the finder was a Fenn tuber. That's huge.
He put up one Forrest Fenn video, right?
And I was subscribed. Like there was only 26 people or something. I was subscribed.
Yes, Chrissy, what the heck? Why didn't you notice this before we went to Operation?
He said AGK was supposed to have him on and then didn't. Of course, this is before he found the treasure. But wouldn't it be awesome to be like, hey, he was on our show, the guy who found it, the guy from Michigan. All right. So that's the guy from back east. And it said he went to Georgetown, which is what, in Washington, D.C. area. So Michigan, Washington, D.C., guy from back east. Shy guy from back east. But good for him. I mean, congratulations. He found it. So
I have a quick question to both of you guys. Did you email this link to the show tonight to Jack?
Actually, I did not, but I can right now.
Yeah,
I have not.
I just wondered,
Jack, but I can. Yeah, I'll send it to him right now.
That way he can watch us, and especially me, look like an idiot. So anyway, actually, he can see me bouncing off the walls almost because I am just so delighted with the tidbit of information that he has given us. So it's like now all we need to do is go in the mountains or along a stream, probably in Yellowstone, and look for a blaze that was, what did he say? It was ruined or damaged?
Moved because of damage, or I don't know if they're...
He actually used the word about the blaze in, I think it was probably the Medium article he put out today. Or was it in Dan's, or it was in Dan's story like maybe Jack told Dan and then Dan wrote it in the story that was in Outside. But somewhere today, the finder said, or Dan said the finder said, that the blaze, which was supposed to mark, so the finder would know he was at the right spot, it was damaged. This time he did not say it was a fake blaze, nor did he say he found the treasure 1,000 feet from the blaze he mentioned today. Operation Nook.
And the plot thickens.
2.0.
plot-
2.0.
The plot thickens. I do not doubt that bronze sniffing dog. Sorry.
So what if that was the spot, but he never used GPS coordinates to find it? He found where warm waters halt and everything else. He doesn't even realize what the GPS coordinates are.
No, no, it's over. GPS, that location, we already know. I'm sorry to say, we confirmed the photos were BS. So we got
But-
some bad information. So
but
no,
Christy,
that's not it. No,
The
it
treasure
might be
could-
close.
yes, the chest could have been on the other side of the notched trees. Did we even look over on the other side of the notched trees?
It's a
means no.
possibility. That's all we can say.
You guys need to get a grip. I'm going to be with the chat room and making fun of you guys soon. No, it's
That's
wrong.
okay.
The finder said no.
Yeah, I think we can pretty much rule that out.
But also
Our voice
interesting
of
to
reason.
know that the chest and all its contents are in a vault in New Mexico, not Forrest Fenn's. So there's a bank somewhere that has the chest, right? In New Mexico, which I'm assuming is Santa Fe. Why would he pick a bank outside of Santa Fe, right? I mean, why
Because
would he drive-
someone's going to go through every single bank, like they contact every single environmental attorney. They know there's crazy people like that. So no, they should go outside of, because an accounting forensics person might be able to figure out where that is, since we do have a full name now. No Santa Fe, in my opinion. I think maybe Albuquerque or somewhere, but I have no idea. And I'm not going to do that. So here's the interesting thing. I've gotten as much closure as I need. I doubted that there was a finder at the beginning. I went through my journey. I believed to solve, got duped, or got inaccurate information. I believe there's a finder. This is it for me. I think Cynthia might be out again one day.
Oh, what does that mean?
Mike, did you email Jack with this
I-
link? And
I
could
just-
you?
I did.
Can you tell or ask him to reply to you if he's watching this? Because I want to beg.
Okay,
Please.
I will.
I will, whatever.
I think my request would be there are those of us that want to continue to search just to understand the location and to put things together for ourselves. Obviously, the problem there is without the chest being there, it's not possible for us to positively ID the location. And I think it would be nice, a good compromise would be, can you identify something in the immediate vicinity that you'd have to be on site to really see, so that someone could confirm that it's the right general area?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I got an email from a searcher. Let me find it real quick, because they basically asked something similar. And I want to read it to you guys, because for the people that want to continue on get that kind of closure at that final location, he was very cordial. So here's was his question, and then here's the answer. Is there anything that you left at the final location? And he put a bunch of reasons why. It was short but sweet, but basically, or able to confirm. He said, thanks, this person. No, I didn't, and I'm afraid that would make the place too much of a target. You saw what happened to the monolith in Utah. If you still want to figure it out, I did feel like there was enough evidence to definitely do so. Otherwise, I would not have kept going back. Good luck.
Well,
I
how
don't know if that helps anything, but that was Finder direct communication from not the source, because the source, but from the source, from the direct source.
Well, Cynthia, I'm assuming you think he should put it out. What do you three think? Is he obligated to put out the solution, or should he put out the solution for the community? What do you guys think?
No, not, no, I understand where he's coming from. So after we posted, or after Mike, you and Christy did the show about the Nook, Operation Nook, do you know within a matter of days, there were already people there who started putting beads there and turning it into a shrine.
Yeah.
And this is like late summer or into the fall when there's not a ton of tourists there and searchers or people out. And it already started being a shrine. So yeah, I totally understand his reasoning about not giving it away, especially since the articles today implied that the spot, which none of us can understand because we haven't been there and we don't know what the finder knows. He implies there's such a reason that it's a special place to Forrest. And the Operation Nook was just a spot in the woods. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't outstanding. So, or for whatever reason, that this place was special to Forrest. And now the finder, Jack, understands that. None of us can understand it because we don't know. Yeah, I agree. Let's not ruin that. If I mean, I will not quit until it's revealed where this location is. I will not quit looking.
Well, Gary Reicher, our friend down in Dustin.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, in Destin. Hey, Gary. He says, why not a picture of the blaze? That would help. Well, I don't think the finder would show a picture of the blaze because then we could probably find out where the spot is. He just does not want anybody to go there, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what the blaze is. I mean, if it's something that's very, locale specific, maybe, I don't know. It's just tough to say. I do find it interesting that, Forrest had mentioned at some point that it's not feasible to move the blaze or remove the blaze, but it was apparently in fact moved and damaged, no less. And so you kind of have to wonder what sequence of events would have caused that. I mean, one option would be that it's a larger natural landmark that might have shifted, maybe by landslide or something to that effect. Or, the other extreme would be, well, maybe it's something that's protected, like some sort of I don't know, maybe petrified wood, that people see from some location and it's generally protected by authorities, but maybe because it was damaged, it ended up being moved deliberately. I don't know. There's a lot of different options out there, but I do think it's interesting to think about the circumstances that would cause that.
Well, and here's the hard thing for me. It's like there's always one bad apple that spoils the bunch, but you have the Cynthias and the Justins of the world that are good people that want that final closure of that final spot. And I don't think you guys are going to let it go. Not saying that you're going to spend every day, but you're going to think about it enough that it would be nice to have a little bit more information. But I'm not saying you're obligated, finder. Oh, Jack. I'm not saying you're obligated. I'm just saying that there are some really good people that put so many years into this. They don't want to let it go until they kind of either solve the location, the goodbye to Forrest, the closure, whatever it is. And I don't know what's enough. You know what is enough? As much as you've done. You've now done more than enough, in my opinion. That you had an attorney was enough for me. Now that you put out all your information, and I hate you were outed, but I do like the idea of maybe the blaze was I know it's not, so I'm going to give an example of what it was a dam that was broken, and then they had to redo it and move the dam over or something like that. Wouldn't that be cool? Because these two will go figure it out.
No, I think it's about striking the right balance. Like I agree with the notion of protecting the sanctity of the location, and I'd always pondered that. Like part of me would have probably been in the same boat if in the astronomically low chance I had found it. It's always a concern to me is around just protection of something that some place that someone holds special. But I do think that there's a way to have your cake and eat it too. I think that there are folks today that still want to search just to understand Forrest and to get to that final location just for what it signifies. There's no monetary value now. So there are a lot of folks out there that were strictly out there for the money, and that incentive is gone. The people that are left that choose to search are the people that I think tend to understand the spirit of what the chase was all about. And for those people, I think that it's reasonable to provide something that you would only understand if you're there, like something, just something in the very immediate vicinity that would help you say yes or no, I'm probably at the right area. Because unless we figure that out, I think we're going to be guessing. I know that Jack says that, you know, when you're there, you'll know it's special to him and everything. And I think I would counter by saying that there are, if you spend enough time searching and you look at enough locations, I guarantee you that you'll find a good handful of places that meet that criteria. And then it's harder to say with any confidence or utmost confidence that this is correct. So I think there's a balance to be struck, and I'm hoping that maybe over time that little tidbit of information could be released to help folks out.
Well, I will say that
Well said.
could it be possible that when the finder sells it, however he does that and gets the money, could he protect the area somehow? It depends what type of land it's on. It depends who owns that area. You know, if it's in a park, if it's BLM, et cetera. But I would try and protect it somehow if I was the finder, and then let everybody know where it was. Kind of to do both, protect it the way Forrest wants, but also let people go in and know where it was and visit. I don't know if that's possible without knowing where this actual solution was, but that's what I would try and do, I guess, if it was me.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah,
thought.
and I think the best that we have to go on now for the folks that want to continue and would really like to know where this is just what Jack has said. And that is that what I've found, just based on what I've read and what I've listened to on his YouTube channel, him finding this location was a function of only a few different things. A commanding knowledge of the English language, his English background helped in that regard. His journalistic capabilities were of merit, and those were helpful. And additionally, understanding Forrest, you know, going through and setting aside your biases and reading through the past works of Forrest and all of his written words to understand what his norms are. And, you know, when he says something that's out of ordinary that you might consider ordinary, you recognize it because you have that context. But yeah, I mean, it really does seem to be that simple. And I also understand, as I understand it, in the past, you know, there have been a few slip ups that Forrest has had in various interviews, and I imagine it's quite the challenge to figure out exactly where those are at, and it's eluded everybody else, but they're there. So, you know, for anyone who's willing to look hard enough and spend the time, I suspect that you probably get there, myself included, maybe one day.
And somebody said in chat, between all the different articles put out and information put out, maybe he's left little tidbits for the person that is focusing on the right things. And he is a tuber, guys. He's put up 2 YouTube. One of them today, I got notification and thought, I know that name because his YouTube channel is his name, and thought, interesting. So is there something in there that's particularly, you know, important to look at? I think yes. Or why would he have not put it? I know we can go over the articles and walk through them, but it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool what he did. So here's the other thing I'd like to say when I believe I'm wrong. A lot of the information that I had where I thought the finder came from the source of trying to sell the story, trying to this, trying to that, worked in a group, et cetera, et cetera. I thought he was being very selfish because he was trying to sell the story. I can tell you, I don't believe I had some communication with him. I don't think he's interested in that at all. So my previous opinions came from inaccurate information, and it was kind of a negative. I can tell you the communications I've had, it's only been a positive. We have picked up some traction on a series I won't go into too much today. I asked him his interest. He doesn't seem interested in all that. So he seems interested in selling the chest and getting on with his life. So everything that I had preconceived notions, I'm just going to say I was wrong because I went off inaccurate information, and I apologize to the finder, Jack. That seems, and again, this could change in the future, but it just seems like he's genuine and he's just trying to protect his family. So there you have it.
And somebody in the chat mentioned, why couldn't they set up guided tours to the area? I mean, because we don't know where it is, we can't say, but it would be nice if that could be done by somebody or someone or some entity, you know, for free, but make it controlled to where people can visit it, but nobody can get out of line and it's protected, etc.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. And I should be the guide that takes everyone there. So Jack, I know you know me. Would you please, since I cannot really reach out to you. Well, actually, I guess I can now that you have an email. But anyway, Jack, I would be the perfect person to escort people to the special location. Call me.
We got an offer from Cynthia Meacham. There we go. And Cynthia's not going to let anything bad happen to that spot. I can guarantee you that. So do you guys think it's possible that the solution will come out due to this lawsuit? In other words, if the finders come out, is the next step that the judge could order to know if her solution is right, the real solution has to come out. I mean, is that in the realm of possibility or no?
I sure hope not. Honestly, I really hope not. I mean, all the way that this has all come to pass, as I mentioned before, just doesn't set well. And you know, there's a right way to do this and a wrong way, and that's just the wrong way.
Yeah, I would agree. Forrest always left it up to the finder, and it's up to the finder, and he's made his decision, and we should, we live with it. I would hate for that to come out for a court case or whatever it is. I would hate for it to come out any way other than the finder doing it the way they want to. So, yeah.
Well, and so I believe, because I also talked to the finder about this or discussed, confirmed, if you will, are you ever going to put it out? And he's not. He's just said that this is as far as he's willing to go. And I totally respect that and told him thank you. So if it's by choice, so think about what's just happened. Zoe and the family and Forrest were willing to be sued, but weren't willing to go to jail, because if you violate a subpoena, you can go to jail. They weren't willing to, or maybe something else. I don't know what all the repercussions. Basically, they weren't willing to break the law for the finder, but they were willing to go through a lot of personal sacrifice. So I think the finder's in the same boat. The finder's saying, for personal reasons, I do not want to share it. But I think if he got into court and a judge made him, he probably wouldn't want to go to jail. He said he's never been arrested. He's never gone to jail. I mean, that's not the case on both sides of this. So I don't think he will unless he has to. And now let's flip it. I know some people are like, we deserve more. Just put yourself in his shoes for a second. Like, it just for a second, not us that we want more. Just think about him. And there might be 100 reasons why that's just not, and it's never going to be good enough. I mean, we want every detail. I want to know what he sat and talked to Forrest with, obviously with the smiles and all that. I'm sure they told some great stories. So anyway, I can tell you the finder directly told me no, that the solution and the final spot is not going to be coming out. Yep. And I respect that.
And I just want to read this. This is what Shiloh posted up on Dale's blog. Shiloh makes an announcement about the finder. Just as one paragraph. And that is, my grandfather wanted to keep the chest location secret even after it had been found because he feared that if the location became known, it could be ruined by the number of people who might attempt to go to the site. The location was very special to my grandfather, and the last thing he wanted to see it destroyed, either innocently or through malicious intent. Well, Forrest says he thought of everything. I don't know if he thought it through, that whoever finds it, everybody's going to want an answer. The rest of the community is going to want an answer. So
Forrest flat out told me that. He's like, I'm not sure why everybody's so interested. The treasure's been found. And I'm like, Forrest, like, you do realize we need closure. He's like, no, the treasure's not there anymore. I don't help me understand.
He didn't get it. Okay. He didn't realize.
He did not get, he didn't understand why. He goes, I know there was a few, like Ina, and we joked around about you, Cynthia. He's like, Cynthia's going to want to know the answer, but there's not that many Cynthias. And I'm like, you don't get it. There's, in my opinion, there's hundreds, if not thousands, sane people that want closure through the answers. He was shocked. He's like, I don't think you're right. I'm like, okay, go check the blogs out. Let's see who's right. And he was mistaken. So he truly didn't get it. He did not understand why anybody was even caring after the treasure was gone. Exactly what Justin said. The money's not there anymore. Why does anybody care? They don't know the journey this was for so many people. So he did not get that, in my opinion.
Yep.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It has been noted. We are not saying. You are right. We're not saying. But we're not violent. We're not suing. We're not any of those things. So we're all crazy. We get that. And so thank you for pointing that out in the chat. Yes, we're all crazy, but we're not to the extreme. Violent, psychopath, that sort of
So Denise Bagley points out it will go away faster for him if he just tells a solution. Otherwise, this will follow him forever. Well, the finder, he's actually protecting the location. I mean, I don't think there's any reason for him not to disclose the solution other than he wants to protect the location, which is what he believes Forrest would want, is it for it not to be destroyed or, whatever. So I think that's interesting that even after he has the chest, it's his, he can do with it what he wants. He's still going to protect the location because I think he said it was special to him now that he's been there, just like it was for Forrest.
Yeah, it's I don't know what's surprising to me is that I always expected that Forrest would want it to be known despite it being special to him. I mean, now that it seems clear that he didn't want that, and that's fine, and I think that's good as reason as any to protect it. But I am a little surprised to hear that Forrest would have preferred that it not come out either. I never expected that. I don't know why, but in retrospect, it makes sense. Like it's a place that's special to you. Why would you want folks to come and defile it? Yeah.
But I actually have when I interviewed Forrest in 2015 for a movie I was making, he actually says in that, and I believe I've posted this on my YouTube, that he didn't care if the finder wanted to reveal it or not. So back in 2015, Forrest was okay with the location being revealed. But obviously since 2015, a lot has happened, the first death happened a year later. And as the years went by, more and more crazy people came out of the woodwork. So I totally understand him, the first 5 years thinking that wherever the spot is would maybe be okay for us searchers to go see. And then in the last 5 years, Forrest realized how crazy some of the people are in the community. So he changed his mind.
Well, early on, he said, "Don't dig up my parents' grave." Like he told me I never thought I would have to tell someone that. Like he just didn't.
Right.
He did not, and that was our interview in 2019. He said I never anticipated the crazy. I mean, he came up with the 7% figure. So, I mean, I definitely think he didn't know when he said he thought of everything, maybe related to the actual treasure chest. He did not. He said he did not anticipate the deaths. He did not anticipate the crazies. So
Live and learn. It's but Forrest also mentioned that he was ambivalent as to whether or not the chest would be found in his lifetime. I mean, he didn't care one way or the other, but it seems like he did. I mean, maybe I'm off base, but the impression that I get is that he was a little depressed, if not crestfallen, that this had been found in his lifetime. I think he wanted that found after his passing. And so, by the same token, when he says that he's ambivalent as to whether or not the spot was revealed, I still tend to think that he never really wanted it revealed now. I don't know. Tough to say.
Maybe the community did change his mind, like Cynthia points out.
Yeah.
Possibly, possibly, which is sad, but.
Minotaur Marino asked, and I did see this and I wanted to mention it to Cynthia, and now is going to be the time. Any truth to the guy on Facebook? There's a guy on Facebook named Board Dry. And he says that he met Jack at Woods Landing Resort in Wyoming. There is your first lead, guys.
Thank you.
I already
And
looked
how
into
do you-
that a little bit.
How do you spell that? Wood Landing?
No, it's
Yeah.
Woods Landing Resort.
Woods
I looked it up. It's right on the
Landing?
border.
Brave and in the wood.
My suggestion would be to search for this person's past posts, well before that particular comment, and then, make your own decision based on that.
Yeah, because I found out if it's a random source, it may not be accurate.
Imagine that. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Cynthia.
No, I was just going to ask K-Pro again. Who was that a question from the chat room, or was it a person in the chat room that actually said they met this guy?
No, so Minotaur Marino asked, and I saw the posting today.
Okay.
There's a guy on Facebook.
Okay.
I think it was on Galore, or it might have been on Cowlazars. He said, I don't know if it means anything, but I met Jack at Woods Landing Resort in Wyoming, I want to say 2 years ago. And he's like, do you think that means anything? Now, some people are questioning, some people aren't, but it's BOR, second word, DRI, I don't think it's a real name, maybe.
Okay.
And it's Woods Landing Resort. I put it
Okay.
into Google,
Yeah.
and I saw it
Where
was
is it?
right on the border between um, Wyoming and
Oh,
Colorado.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Thompson points out there is absolutely zero possibility of finding a 10 by 10 chest in Yellowstone without a grid coordinate. I used to captain the U.S. orienteering team, and I'm a former Army Ranger. I know navigation. Well, the thing is, we don't know if it was found in Yellowstone. And after reading your comment, it just made me go to the end of the Shawshank Redemption. Do you guys remember the movie Shawshank Redemption? At the end,
Yeah.
he's like, "Meet me. You'll see a big tree. It's the only tree of its kind, and you'll see was it obsidian? You'll see the rock." So I'm thinking if Forrest Fenn's poem is in fact those 9 clues, excuse me, if there were in fact 9 clues, maybe it's one of those deals where the location is there's once you're in that location, there's only one place it could be. It's just a thought. For some reason that popped in my mind when he said there's no way to find a 10 by 10 box. It would be really interesting to know what the blaze was. Yeah, I mean, if he could just come out and tell us what it was, not where it was, not a picture, but just tell us what was it, a mark on a tree? Was it a mark in a rock? Was it something totally different? I don't know if that would stir up more controversy or if it would give
We're going to
people
get
some
some
closure.
closure because it sounds like he gave Dan the interview on some techniques. And I almost feel like it seems that Jack might be eventually okay with doing basically the Forrest Fenn set of questions that, I mean, Forrest said, rule out the 9 locations in the final location, but anything else, if it helps you get closure, like what was the keyword? What was the,
Warm
all
water
those things.
salt. Did it have to do with water being warm to the touch, or did it not even have to do with water at all? There's a lot of those generic type questions, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe he will. I will say this is probably the testing ground for us. Who's going to overstep? Who else is going to sue? How ugly are things going to get? Like, I already got cursing emails from Barbara today. I don't know about you guys. So I'm sure he did. So I don't know how bad it's going to get for him. And all I'll say is, Jack, if you're watching, remember that 7%. There's 93% of us that, like, I'm celebrating today, even though it was a crappy way of doing it and getting it's final in my mind. It's 100%. There was a finder. Forrest did not pull it. I mean, we know it was in Wyoming. I feel 100% now. I could never say that before. I felt 99.9 at some time. I never felt 100 until today. So Jack, not the way it happened, because man, it's terrible. But I am appreciative it happened because it got me closure, but I'm very sorry, and I would not have wanted nor advocate for how that went down.
Well, I think Barbara thought she was going to be the one to release the finder's name, and all I can say is he came out and preempted her. So she may have forced his hand, but he did it in the way he wanted to. I think. Go ahead, Justin. You were going to say something.
Oh no, my disappointment remains. Just bothers me.
I agree. I feel the same way. Yeah, but it is what it is, and I think. Do you think maybe Forrest was happy that it was found before he passed, and that maybe he knew some of this was going to go on, but now that it was found, the onus is kind of off his family a little bit? Hopefully,
Could be.
maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Well, he told me at the final time, I said, "How are you feeling?" And he told me, he goes, "I'm mixed day to day." He goes, "I'm so happy someone found it because I got interaction and closure and all that." He's like, "But it's over." He's like, he didn't think it was going to get solved in 10 years. I think he thought it was going to be a lot longer. And
Yeah.
so he said, "I have good days and bad about it." And he's like, it's just for anybody that says that he didn't have stress and even fatigue over the lawsuits and worry when everything else going on, you're wrong. I literally was face to face with him, and he says it's taking its toll. So anyone that loves him should not sue him. It and the biggest thing, and I talked to a couple of people today, it cost us the final part of the closure story. Forrest, I believe, because actually Cynthia was going to be there. Cynthia was going to be the videotaper. It was going to be me and Cynthia going and interviewing Forrest, and 300 questions. I don't think he would have answered 300, but he would have answered a few hundred, I think. And he was okay with all of them. As I kept giving him, we lost that because of timing. He had to wait for the things to settle, and they didn't, and he passed. So I blame that we didn't get a lot of the closure. We will never get that. We can't get Forrest perspective on this, that, all those things that we wanted answers to. So I think the lawsuits cost the community. Some people are celebrating because at least we have some sort of answer. I just feel differently.
Yeah, it's a cascading effect too. I mean, it's not just the here and the now. There may have been folks that considered doing, some sort of their own hunt, and this is the type of thing that heavily dissuades them from doing so. And even the folks that had good intentions, like the tumble bear load that came out a while back. I mean, how long did that last, and why did it get shut down? It's the bad apples. It's that 7%.
Right.
Some people blame us that it got shut down, and I don't understand that at all. I don't understand
Well,
why.
and it's weird because they said they got notoriety. Well, you want notoriety through.
If you're going to make a public YouTube video, you need people to watch it, right? In order to.
Right, but they're saying anyone that talks about the hunt, so great, you shouldn't talk about the hunts at all. But we talked to Tumble Bear Load, and he was flat out. He said, "I don't want to make some lawyer rich through some shenanigans." He did not shut it down because of people talking about it. That's why he put a YouTube channel out. He got threatened about a lawsuit, and he said, "I'm not going to make some crazy searcher rich by me just wanting to do something nice. I'm going to take that money and do something else nice with it." He was very clear with us anyway. It was related to the people that were already threatening lawsuits, already threatening his family. We never threatened. We promoted, and maybe we promoted too quickly because it got you can't promote and not have the crazy people know it. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, he told me, this is the guy that did the tumble bear load. He said, one day I just wanted to go find the empty hole and just go back home with a smile on my face, that I made somebody else's day that much better. He wasn't worried about legalese and taxes. He just did it. Here's a YouTube video. You find it, and that's it. But then people hit him with all the legal stuff, and you can't do that, and it's not fair. And he said, I'm not dealing with these people. That's it. So, and speaking of treasure hunts, Justin, you mentioned possible treasure hunt in the future. Any thoughts on that?
I still have plans, and it's like I've mentioned before, it's not something that'll happen overnight. I've spent the last probably 4 or 5 years procuring various items that I think would appeal to different folks, and my goal is to have a wide enough variety of objects that most people that would, if they found it, they'd be happy. There'd be something in it for them. And that's kind of challenging because there's a wide variety of interests out there, and different things appeal to different people. So that's been the challenge the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, I guess. So still got a ways to go.
Well, the World Series of Fend would be a perfect venue for you to announce, even if it's not next year's, but the year after's, whenever. So yeah, we look forward to it if you ever get it together, and decide to release it. So
no, I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I mean, these are the types of things, with the lawsuit that's going on and everything, that can't help but give me pause. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's clear that Forrest's hunt resulted in more good than bad. Yes, there were tragedies that happened, and I'm not discounting those. That was just terrible. But when you look at all the people that benefited from this and that have a new perspective, I think it was worth it. And I'd like to see something like that again in the future. And it's hard to replicate that. And my intention isn't to just, replicate something that's already been done. I'd certainly like to put my own twist on it, but it's a void, I think, that a lot of people are trying to fill. And I think it'd be exciting to put something like that on at some point. But the commercial aspect to it, I think, plays a role for some people. That's pretty much an immediate turnoff. If it's like any sort of corporate involvement, which I'm not planning on. It would, just be on my own accord. But I think that there's a lot of things you have to consider before you do it. So I'm still working through those.
Okay, but at least at this point, you're not totally shut it down where it's not going to happen. So that's good news.
No, I'm
Well,
not
and
shutting it down.
I think it's kind of a cool time because I mean there were hunts before, but this is the first I think big hunt right now that's showing us in today's world with technology. And you knew stuff about looking at maps and they can hone all that stuff. So you got that down, but I think a lot of people don't. Look at Blackbeard. Blackbeard may have a website that people can get. I mean, technology is one, but then all the legal aspects and protecting people from themselves. I think when Forrest got into this, he didn't think about some of that. When The Secret came out, he didn't think about the legal of different locations and all of that. So I think we're forming. Uh, this community is forming as a whole, and you get to learn from all of that. You get to learn from these little popcorn hunts, but you get to learn from, some people say you should forbid the Zooms if you're in a hunt. How do you forbid people talking? And technology allows it.
Yeah, that's
It's different.
Christy, I mean, I agree with you. With each hunt that's come about, I think there's something new to be learned, and it's clear that folks are learning from the past. You look at how AGK set up their hunt and the disclaimers that they had, and some of the parameters they put in place. That was a direct learning, I think, from the Fenn hunt, and I think there are things to learn from their hunt as well. So that's my hope, is that I think we've had enough experience here to make this better in some aspects, especially from the legal side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is one of the lessons, is that the way that information is disseminated is very important. Not everybody has access to YouTube. Not everybody has access to, listen to hours of video to glean clues or hints. And even if you don't intend to give one away, I think a good example, and I'm certainly not picking on this. It just came to my mind. I know that David, as part of the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt, has been very careful about, how he disseminates the information. And what I found is that it's very easy for you to say something that you believe as the hunt creator is not a clue, but actually is very helpful to other people. Like, for instance, I know he mentioned on Amy's show on at least a couple of different occasions that he flat out said play fair ciphers are not in effect. And, myself included, there were folks that were considering that. And for it to come out through that avenue, I appreciate the information, don't get me wrong, but I know that there were some folks that were put out by that. And that's what's challenging, is making sure that you have kind of like a one-stop shop to disseminate the information, so that nobody feels like other folks are getting an edge or on the competition, or things are being said in private. It's hard to manage. Yeah.
And sometimes it's just the perception of it more so than actual clue. Like there's some actual information that was revealed, but even the perception of those coming out. And it's interesting because somebody just said the ending of this chase destroyed the treasure hunting business. In my opinion, Masquerade ended really badly. A lot, Tumble Bear. There's lots of them that have. I think that's the biggest lessons learned of doing a treasure hunt, if you want to do it, is the communication and the perception. Even doing the interviews, even communicating. Um, Again, we have some good examples like Randy. Randy's never had on Beacon Star, has never had, or I know people complain, but he keeps things very tight. And I think after all this, and some people find some irony, because Forrest Fenn obviously had communication with me and I learned from it. And there's not any positive in that communication. So I have Vegas Die, I've had some issues with, because they did communicate some things that I did either in interviews or private emails. US Treasure Hunt's another one, and it's just not. It's like the biggest issue. So it's like don't like the most important and biggest issue. And so yeah, I hope in the future.
We did get a super chat, everybody. Copper Dan, speaking of treasure hunts, Copper Dan did give a super chat and says, this super chat is sponsored by Paul. Merry Christmas, Paul. All right. Thank you, Copper Dan. We do appreciate that treasure hunt. I will say that Copper Dan in the house, I will say that I think part of the Forrest Fenn legacy is all these treasure hunts that will follow after his, because the great U.S. treasure hunt, we saw what Forrest Fenn did. We want to pay it forward. Justin, if you follow through with one, Copper Dan's doing one. Me and Capro have done smaller scale ones. I could see Cynthia doing her own someday. You know, it's just everybody that loved the thrill of the chase so much. I see them trying to continue it on for the community, even for the next generation. And that's because of Forrest Fenn. So I consider that part of his legacy that will be remembered, much like Masquerade. But for this generation, for our generation, it's the thrill of the chase and Forrest Fenn. So thank you to Forrest for that. And there's Mr. Clue in the chat. He says he was inspired by Forrest Fenn. So all these creators that are out there, the Beacon Star, like you said, Six Treasures Film, Joshua Pritchett. I could go on and on about all the ones that are out there and all the ones that are planned, but it's due to the thrill of the chase. This whole community is here because of the thrill of the chase. So,
and not only that, I mean, I think some of the hunts, a very select few, have kind of given the alternate impression. You know, I think most of us can agree that the Blackbeard treasure hunt was a good example of how not to do a treasure hunt.
what are you talking about?
And, you know, and those are the types of incidents that are unfortunate because, you know, they cast a poor light on the general validity of you know, this whole arena. And that's why I think it's important for folks that, you know, it's great to do it, but, you know, when you have that, when your intentions aren't as pure, things can certainly go awry. It was unfortunate to see that.
Well, and I think the other piece, and I don't think Forrest ever anticipated it in such a significant way, is so there's the pure treasure hunter, and then there's the pure social person. And there were a lot of people in that middle space. Why do 300 people get together to talk 6 months after the fact about Forrest Fenn? Why did Mike and I become a thing? Why did we do a fundraiser for people that I didn't know Jamie? Mike didn't know Jamie. Cynthia, I think, had met her a few times, not at that time a close personal friend. We've made friendships. And I think a lot of people, this became their, especially right now, this became their thing they needed from a social aspect. And I definitely know Forrest didn't anticipate it. He anticipated having some parties at his house early on for the few people that were in this crazy hobby. He did not think there would be hundreds watching YouTube every week and hundreds posting on forums, anywhere from his personal life or their personal life to hardcore, here's the 9 clues and here's my interpretation. So, and Mike and I are a good example of that. He's like non-social side, even though he holds this poker tournament. I'm more of the social side, but I'll go boots on the ground in a second, but it doesn't sit in as long for me. Like Jingle Bell Rock, I went out today, boots on the ground, but I was like, no, this isn't it. I'm not going to spend 4, 5, 6 hours one side, but then that's why I walked by it. So.
But Cynthia's right. And all the boots on the ground to find one of these things, you got to get out there and look. I mean, you can only do so much from home. And Cynthia, you just enjoy the outdoors anyway. So even if there was no treasure hunt, I've seen you and your bicycle rides out here in Vegas. You're going to get out and enjoy nature anyway. So
Right.
It was just a nice tie-in that there would be a treasure hunt as well, the thrill of the chase. I mean, all right,
that's I think what was so cool about the Fenn chase is that it just appealed to so many folks on different levels. You know, it was just so approachable. You know, you didn't have to worry about advanced ciphers and all that stuff that, you know, which is very appealing to a smaller crowd. But, you know, the fact that anybody could pick this up and read it and follow it and find it potentially was awesome. I think that's cool. And that's the main thing that I'd love to see remain intact if another large hunt comes about.
And I think that was why there was such a backlash on the GPS numbers that you all proved were correct. But that's why, because some people said that goes against, you know, the spirit of what Forrest wanted. And I guess those people were true. Like I said, me and Capro will be the first one to say we were wrong. And I now believe that we were wrong now that the finders come forward. But yeah, that ties in with what you were saying, Justin, that's not the type of solve that people wanted. Like Fandango came out. All those things in that book, all those illustrations, just GPS numbers. That's all it was.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. It's like, you know, on one hand, he says no specialized knowledge. On the other hand, he says, you know, comprehensive knowledge of geography. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, geographic coordinates are pretty fundamental to geography. That might be fair game. It's just, it's hard to say. And that's the ambiguity that comes into play. But yeah, you're right.
I want to. There's a question in the chat that I think is an important one. I'll let Cynthia answer. I have my opinions, shockingly too. It's weird that F would not get near Cynthia during COVID, but same day Jack, no problemo. Is there an explanation for this? I think there is, but Cynthia, do you have an explanation?
I actually saw Forrest several times this year at his house during the pandemic. I'm assuming that the person is referring to the video I made where I handed Forrest the roll of toilet paper. I saw Forrest several times over the summer after that. They just had to figure out how to be able to meet people and keep that 6 foot distance, the social distancing. And that is what they did throughout the summer and the fall. So.
Well, but I think
I have
too,
seen
there's
him.
and not that, I think there's a difference between, hey, he wants to drop by on a Tuesday, and the finder of your 10-year treasure hunt wants to come by with the treasure chest. He did have, did you guys see the mask on the table? You are going to sit 6 feet apart, but even though Cynthia's awesome to have margaritas with, there's a little bit of a difference between searcher that found it with, they are sitting separate. They obviously have had a mask on, or at least the finder has. They are sitting separate. I think that's very different, in my opinion. Again, Cynthia rocks, but not quite the same as I'm bringing your treasure chest to you. So I think,
and I'm showing the picture between those, just in case there's anybody out there who doesn't. A couple people are like, "Where's the link to this article?" So this is the picture of the finder in Forrest. Yeah, there's the mask right there, and look at the expression on Forrest's face. It's got to be half elation that somebody figured it out, half sorrow that it's over. Who is this guy that, how Forrest is kind of a maverick, kind of who is this guy who figured out my poem? But he said that Forrest called him a genius for figuring it out. So yeah, that is the finder. So congratulations to him. I mean, that's awesome, right?
Yeah, and somebody asked up on Thor, that picture, like, is that a weird mirror? It looks to me like it's a skylight, and that's the reflection of a skylight. That's in my opinion. I don't have it directly from any source or architect. I just have that information. So yeah, I think in general, I think it's a ending, but I feel contentment with it.
Well, where does that leave us? I guess
What's
we have
next?
to wait for the authors to come out. You think there might be some information in this new book coming out or no? The Jack Barbarossa guy?
Let's talk
Dan.
let's talk Dan first, but let's talk about what's going to
Oh,
happen, in my
Dan, sorry.
opinion, this week. But Cynthia, do you want to talk more about so the link's already out, guys? Like, you can pre-order now. This is the one that we showed on Amazon a couple of weeks ago. It's available for pre-order.
Is this the book, or is he tailoring it because now there's new info for the finder? In other words, the book's already written. Is that correct?
I think
Yeah.
the majority of the book
Okay.
is, but not all of it. I think it's coming now, right? I'll let Cynthia.
Yeah. I've been in, Dan and I have met several times over the years. I searched with him here. I searched with him and Jay in Yellowstone. We have both been to Forrest Place or lunch with Forrest to discuss things. And when I talked to Dan today, I believe that the book basically was written by the time Forrest passed away. Dan tried to explain to me how long it takes from the time he writes the book, the manuscript, it goes through editing, then it has to be published and printed and then go to bookstores. He said it's like the longest process in the world. So I do believe that basically his book was written, but I know after Forrest announced it was found, he was able to add to it. And I'm not positive whether or not Dan was able to add Jack's story and name to the end of it before it actually went to an editor and printed. But I'm thinking that he did, because even if the book basically had gone to the editor there is no reason. I mean, if it hasn't already been printed, and I'm sure it has not been, there is no reason why he cannot add an addendum or this ending to it.
And when
What?
yeah, go ahead.
Whether or not, I don't know how much of Jack's story Dan is going to put in the book. Maybe all of it, maybe edit it down to just a few paragraphs. I'm not sure. But I'm almost positive that there will be something in the book that reveals Jack as the finder. I mean, how could you be a
Yeah,
media
maybe not.
person and
Yeah.
not put that in there? Which
Right.
actually brings me to a question for you guys. As you guys know, there's tons of documentaries being made, more magazine articles, documentaries, podcasts, blah, blah, blah. I get inundated with requests. And now I'm wondering, do you guys think that now that Jack is available and actually put his email address out there for anybody, do you think now that the media will basically ignore me, hopefully, and just like totally ignore me, bypass me, and go straight to Jack? I just don't see how there can be much of a story for just a ordinary searcher anymore. It just seems to me the story was Forrest Fenn, the chase, and now the finder.
You want me to go first, K-Bro? Oh, I believe the stories are still valid and they still need to be told. Even though it ended, and we always knew there was going to be one person to find the chest, right? But there are 300,000 people that looked, according to Forrest. Even if you think it's 10,000, those are still stories. And I think those stories are important. So I think a documentary, movie, book, whatever it is, full of searcher stories could still be made. And it's from Spectrum to Obsessed, went off the deep end to me and K-Pro getting married. Somebody said that's how the book's going to end, is me and K-Pro are going to
Oh,
get
that's good.
married. So I
That's a
believe
good
those
one.
stories are important. There's still the community. The thrill of the chase is over, but the community is still here. So I think it's important. What do you think, Kate?
Well, so I think the original documentaries, and it's not a slight to them, but the ones that we're pitching and we're a part of right now, I think the Sam Meacham, it's awesome. She's going boots on the ground today. Let's follow her. The Sasha Desert Dale Cynthia's. There's been 3 or 4 of those, and there's only so many of those you can have, and that part's over now. So I think the interesting stories are not as much searcher boots on the ground, here's their 9 clues. It's more of Cynthia has a story well outside of that, her journey with Forrest, her journey with the rest of the community, friendships, all of that stuff. Say the scandal sell, so there's going to be scandalous parts. Do you think, even though this is unfolding, did you know? I did not know this. Did you know that Tiger King, when they began filming as there are big cat sanctuaries in the United States? That was it. Then, while they were filming, they found out there was a controversy between 2 of them while they were filming. And by the end of their filming, there was all that you see now, murder and all that. This is, I think, a story that starts with searchers, ends with searchers, but there's so much in between. What Forrest's vision was, all of that. That's why I believe this can be a one episode documentary. This has to be a series. There's so many facets to this. There is the facet of why start this, all of that. A few of the great stories, positive stories. There has to be some on the scandals. There has to be some on the lives lost. There has some on some that lost their didn't lose their lives, but lost their kids, lost their homes, are estranged from their family. All of those along the way, and some positive. And oh, by the way, we got to get the lawyers involved and all of that, and the Forrest Fenn family, and whether they would be in it or not. You can see there's at least 12 episodes there of what all the different people's perspectives of each. Some people love the YouTube community. Some people hate the YouTube community. Some people, and some people overstep. Some people, I hate to say, that's what scandal sells in America, but doing it appropriately. You can't tell this story without all the aspects, the love, the marriages that come from it. To also talk about the divorces and the people that lost their life, and then Forrest and all of that. So there's just so many pieces, and the family. I think anyway, I'm going to continue to repeat myself, which I don't want to. But there's so much to this that I was contacted today by one of the producers we're working with and said they're more excited than ever. They've actually messaged me a couple times because I owe them some things. And Mike said earlier, like, what do you think this is going to do to the documentary series? I think it's going to kick it up. I think Cynthia's going to get more requests than normal. I think they're going to contact everybody because I think everybody has that unique story. So anyway.
What do you
So-
think? Yeah.
So what you're saying, Christy, is based on the success of Tiger King on Netflix, we need to kill someone and feed him and her to a grizzly bear. And
I'm sorry, I just got to
That's-
interject. What
that's-
is going on right now?
that's an episode.
So I'm sorry you heard it that way. So let's restart. And unless
I nominated a couple people for that, but I will.
And I have just where this could happen. Did you know that in Sunlight Basin, Wyoming, Cody area, where Justin and I spent so much time searching, it is where they take the nuisance grizzly bears from the whole area and release them to the wild. So I actually could take a body to Justin, and I could definitely do this. We could once we had the cadaver, I know where to take it. Just say.
Wow. We did get a super
Justin,
chat.
I'm going to turn off my camera now.
No, I'm eating, so I didn't think anybody want to watch me.
No, I'm just saying this is taking an odd direction.
Oh, by the way, and let me give a shout out to Jono, great Brit Chaser, because Jono, if you're watching this, I'm also volunteering you. If this carcass cadaver needs to be disposed of,
Oh, he's not the carcass.
after the pandemic is over, Jonathan, I know you know the area pretty good, and you may go along.
We did get a super chat from Denise Baker. She says, yes, I love the Fenn community and Cowlazars. Thank you, Denise. We do appreciate super chats. I do think there's a story that can be told. And the other thing is a lot of people can get to know more about Forrest from the searchers that knew him. So I think there's a story to tell as far as Forrest Fenn is concerned through these kind of stories. If this thing was ever produced or this thing ever came out, you could know a lot more about Forrest through this. But I do think the solution to the poem should come out because that also gets into Forrest. Was he a master puzzle maker, poem creator? Or is it going to be, this is how Jack found it and we're all kind of like, oh, that's it? Is it going to be a letdown, or is it going to be this is the best thing, ever since Masquerade? I would like the answer to that, but everybody's got a different opinion and a different angle. So I think if you put all of that into a series on Netflix, I think it's gold, in my opinion.
We're getting there. It takes a while. I did not realize how much, like everything, so I was used to being in business and just pitching a business plan, and you either think about Shark Tank, you either get funded, you don't, you move on. There's a lot more facets to it. So we're close, but we've been close for a while, but we have the right people involved. We have a lot of things happening. And I just think it'd be cool. Now, I don't think it's going to be super cool to the community because we all know it. Like they're going to introduce, Cynthia or Cowlazars or Justin and Tucker. We all know it. So I don't think it'll be as exciting, even though there will be facets that I don't think are known in the community. There's stories to tell. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
we'll
can
see
make
how
it
that goes.
interesting.
Yeah. I think it was 3D Braun said that I used to dream about hiking with Cynthia, and now I'm rethinking that. She's worried about being the
no.
carcass.
Is 3D in the chat room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no. I
Talk
treasure.
about killing people. I mean,
No, not him for sure. He's like he's on my list of my 10 most favorite searchers because he was such a sweetheart to me at the Fenn finale, and he gave me that bronze lid, the replica of the treasure chest, and it's heavy. It looks real close to the real thing, other than the holes that blew through it. And it's my most, that's probably one, that's right up there with anything Forrest ever gave me. So I absolutely 3D, you're good to go with me. I will not hurt you.
She will
Just
not
saying.
kill you. Okay,
I
so
would no,
make
I would
sure
not
you
hurt
guys
him.
make sure to ask before, if you decide to go boots on the ground with Cynthia, just say, am I being fed as a carcass to the bears? And just have her answer. She's honest. She'll tell
Yes.
you yes or
Yes.
no.
Well, Denise
Yes.
Bagley says no one cares, in my opinion. If there's no solution, who cares about 12 episodes knowing you'll never know? I want to know about you, Denise. I want to know what your solution to the poem was. I know it wasn't correct, but I
We
want to
know what it
your-
is. She told us at the Fenn finale.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. I want to know about your boots on the ground, how many, where you thought it was. Mr. Clue. I want to know about Mr. Clue and why he's doing his own treasure hunts because of the thrill of the chase. I mean, I would watch that just to get interested to know the story from all these other searchers. Cynthia, Justin, all the other that are out there. And maybe there's searchers that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? They're not on YouTube. They're not on forums, but they could tell their story. Everybody's got a story to tell. And I think it would
Yeah,
be
but
fun.
remember, so when I didn't know this before, but when you storyboard out episodes and you really start thinking about what's each episode going to bring, it is not 12 episodes on here's these 4 searchers and now let's go to these 4 searchers. It's going to be, like you said, Mr. Clue. um, I think some of the deaths, I think some of the, I want to say more outrageous stories, but that's what is, it's kind of more the extremes in the community. I think that's what would come in that regard.
I have
And
the
then you,
perfect candidate if you're looking for folks that are extreme.
Oh my God.
okay.
Is it your friend?
Yes.
Is it the friend we met?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Well, and
agree.
but even the GPS heard around the world, I think that's an interesting. Now, I'm not going to be. I'm not an expert on any of the how do you build. Like, I didn't even understand the concepts of how do you build an episode. Well, I have some new skill sets now. How do you pitch? How do you get a network interested? And then all the different plans and things that you have to give them, and asset inventories and things like that. That's crazy. But then episodes, there's only so many minutes. You could interview for an hour and have 30 seconds used. I'm learning things that I never thought I would learn before. So,
Well, okay, Pro, I gave you my idea, right? About what to do.
yeah, but don't say it, because if we
I
get
gotta
into
say it because it's the best idea ever. So let's say it's Netflix, it's 10 episodes, and you go through and it's about the Forrest Fenn, the thrill of the chase, and some searchers and all that. And at the very end, you realize that hidden throughout those previous 11 episodes is another treasure hunt. Boom, bombshell. You don't even know until the very last episode, but then it pays it forward with another treasure hunt in those episodes. I mean, that would be awesome. We got another super chat, everybody. Oh, somebody asked if there was a movie or TV series, who would play Forrest Fenn? And Fripp25, thank you for the super chat, says John Lithgow to play Forrest Fenn in the TV movie. Your ideas. What do you guys think? Who would play Forrest Fenn?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I kind
That's
of
a
like
good
that.
one.
Yeah.
John Lithgow, yeah.
And then
I don't
for
know who
and
that is.
for the early years, you get Shiloh because he looks just like the pictures of Forrest when Forrest was that age.
I was thinking Robert Redford personally.
Yeah, Robert Redford would be good. I could even see Harrison
Yeah,
Ford. He's a little bit
but
older now. So.
With Robert Redford, you'd have to put him on stilts because he doesn't begin to compare to Forrest as far as his height. But
No, you just need everyone
It's-
around him to be shorter.
yeah, I was going to say it's movies. You can do anything.
And who's going to play Cynthia for the recreations that they do?
Someone with balls, I can say that.
Nice. Wouldn't that be something if somebody tried to do a movie that, replays some of the events and stuff? That would be great.
Well, if it's a movie, that's one thing. If it's documentary, we're all playing ourselves, and that's the interesting
Right.
point of
True.
interactions and those sorts of things. So we wouldn't need anybody. I don't know any of the people you're saying. So I know Robert Redford. I take that back. But that's about it. Clint Eastwood. Okay.
Harrison
so-
Ford, good call.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
well,
my God,
okay.
that's perfect. Harrison Ford lives there in Jackson Hole. He's there. So
Oh, nice.
okay, we settled that.
So, Mike, do we want to go over the actual article? I don't think we should read it word for word, but do we want to hit like the major highlights? Because I think there's
can,
some
yeah.
things.
And this is the article that Barbara Reese put out, correct? That article, you mean?
I think
Or the
there's
Finders article.
really 3 that I would like to look over. One
Right.
was Shiloh on Dale's.
Mhm.
One was Dan's on Outdoor Magazine, and one is on Medium from the Finder to say, "I'll protect myself. Back off."
There's Tucker.
He's
The
apologizing.
failure.
He's
Yeah.
apologizing.
Failure. Ah.
Again,
He's
as
still
long
a
as he's
good
well
dog.
represented, when he gets sued, he'll be fine. That's the funny
Idiots,
part.
dude.
Well, that's the funny part. Some people had emailed me like, no GPS. Oh my God, your reputation forever. Guys, it's not that serious. Like, I mean, yeah, we spent a little bit of money, but someone's life was not on the line. This was just how many times has somebody gone boots on the ground saying, I've got it, I'm going to get it this weekend. And then they come back and they go, humble pie. That's all. Humble pie. It's not that, like, I don't know. Some people are so invested and they've like repeated, like, you must say you're wrong. I'm wrong.
Danny
Every-
DeVito is Dale.
Oh my
You
God.
guys, geez.
Jeez, oh my goodness.
Oh, by the way, somebody said are the scrapbooks going to be preserved? What do you got on that, K-Pro? Because we know Dale's going to shut down on the 27th, was it? Something like that?
Yeah, so Dale's going to shut down on the 27th. He has put them all nicely into PDF, zip, whatever form that everybody can download. I asked him, could I provide a link to them or actual documents? I can, if somebody emails me, I can get that to them, but I would just prefer if we could actually just kind of keep them going. And his answer was, ask me again at the end of the month, like right before the 27th, because I think maybe he knew maybe some things were coming into closure. Do we even need to still do that or not? I can tell you, Thor has never been so busy. I think people do want to dive into them, but it's totally up to him. And I only say that if Jenny wants to do it, or because somebody was like, well, no, not you. It has to be on this. I don't care where it is. It'd just be nice if it was available somewhere. And I'm not saying it has to be me on Thor, but Thor has never been as busy as it is now. I get more hits a day and more new users, everything. So I would love it if he'd consider it. I started a thread on Thor that said, if you would like Dale to consider this, and we could actually put a link rather than just, hey, I have them, would you respond? And I think it's up to 3 or 4 pages. So that's at least 40 people that have said, please, please.
I'm
All in
surprised
positive.
Dale doesn't put them all in a book and sell it, to tell you the truth. I mean, a book of all the scrapbooks, I mean, just makes sense. Color photos and all that. It would be something I would want on the coffee table. But
So Billy Shaw asks, is it true that there's a scrapbook that's being left out? That's the first I've ever heard of this. No.
No, he's referring to the number that Dale, it's a
32.
bad number.
Oh,
Dale's
yeah.
superstitious about the number, and I forget if it's like 39 or what the number is.
I think it's 30.
That was Dale's call, and he's explained this a million times over the last 10 years.
somebody
It
said,
has-
go ahead, Cynthia.
No, I was just going to say, and it just has to do with it's a bad number in Dale's history or past.
Right, but because Dale's involved and he's gotten several $1 million, this is actually a conspiracy and it's not true. And no, I'm being facetious, guys. No matter how many times it's said and Dale clarifies, there's still somebody that says no.
Oh, actually, you know what? It's scrapbook 44 because it's the fucking latitude of where the treasure was hidden.
They don't want the truth out.
Just saying. Just
Somebody
saying.
said that Cynthia Meacham should be played by Charlize Theron.
Oh my God.
I could
Who
see it.
said that? Thank you so
know who it
much. Yeah.
was.
Oh yeah. I mean, my God, we look
You
so
just
much
made her
alike.
night. Yeah.
You did. I mean, we are like twins.
Christopher Walken for Forrest Fenn. I could see that. He's up there.
That's pretty quirky.
That's a good
Yeah, that
one.
is quirky. Yeah. Okay, so that's the deal on the scrapbooks, right? They will still be there in somewhere, correct? We hope.
No, they're going to be somewhere until the 27th. And then what Dale has said, they're gone after that. His site's gone. It's all discontinued.
Oh, I thought they.
I have-
so
I
people
know.
can download it, right? I'm
After the
monitoring
27th,
the chat.
I will have them and I will put up on Thor, hey, if anybody wants to email me, because they are Dale's. But I've asked him, can I actually provide a link? So they're up there and I don't have to email any random person, but it's totally up to him. And he's right now just saying, give me this month. You can tell he's processing things. I know the threats have been pretty awful. And I'm not
K-Pro,
saying
is that confirmed?
confirmed.
There it is. Somebody said Greg Kinnear should play me. I don't know about that one.
No.
Dennis Miller, maybe. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Did you want to go through the articles? What do you guys want to do?
I'd
I-
like to hit the highlights, not all, but go ahead, Cynthia. What do you
Oh, just before you end the show, I'd like to at least talk to Justin on your YouTube channel about what so regarding Jack coming out today with the new video, I understand on YouTube, where he talked about, and I'm getting this secondhand, but I was sent a link to the unedited interview of Forrest Fenn, and I forget the year, if it was 2015, 16, or 17, that was the New Mexico tourism advertisement. And what Jack gave us was the link to this video. And I was told it is the video where Forrest supposedly slipped and gave out a clue. And it was one of the things that Jack used to figure out where Forrest wanted to die. And I have listened to that twice now. And I heard a statement from Forrest in this, and whether or not this is what he meant, what Jack meant, but I actually heard something about reading the book that I have never heard Forrest say in the 8 years I've been doing this. So I just wanted to ask Justin, Mike, you, and Christy what you think about this. So I just wanted to talk about it before we go off the air.
Yeah, is that something you wanted to do now, Mike, or would you rather do that later?
Yes, we can talk about it now for sure.
Yeah, actually, I haven't watched that video yet. What was more interesting to me were the past videos that Jack has on his YouTube channel, the one around confirmation bias. That to me was quite insightful, and not because, he described what confirmation bias was, but I felt that it helped me understand what sort of criteria he was using to interpret the poem and what he gleaned from it. Because if you think about it, this video was put out a year ago. He already knew, right? Like he knew the spot. So that video is especially interesting. And listening to it a few times today, there were some things that stood out just in terms of what he was doing and his thought process and what he found interesting and what he didn't find interesting. He talks about, first off, the obvious stuff around kind of putting your own biases out of the way and purely trying to understand Forrest. And I think that's what most of us were trying to do all along. But the way that he phrased it, I thought was different than what I've heard before. One of the techniques that he used was to read all of Forrest's previous books to kind of get a baseline for like his writing style and, really what he was about, and then read The Thrill of the Chase with all of that in mind. And it was easier for him to discern things that were out of place based on Forrest's writing style from all of his past stuff. And I feel like I've tried to do the same thing, maybe not to the extent that he has. I'm clearly not, but those types of comments and just like where he was coming from, I thought was really helpful. And he mentioned when talking about the poem, he said, he and this is all stuff that's out there for anyone to view. I appreciated the summary where he talked about the key points of the poem. Where, I think Jenny Kyle had asked, oh boy, I'm paraphrasing here, but, what would be helpful in solving the poem and for folks that, come from a background of puzzles or something to that effect. And Jack was quick to point out that, effectively none of that's going to help you. Like, this is not your normal, cipher-driven poem, and all the techniques that folks generally use to solve riddles and that sort of thing don't apply here, because Forrest didn't have any of that in mind when he wrote this. And the other thing that I thought was interesting is he called out that from Forrest's perspective, his stories were just as valid and important as anything that you'd find in the Smithsonian. Like, these are interesting stories that happened throughout his life, and his life is no more or less important than any other life. And those stories have merit. And that he expected folks to follow in his footsteps as part of doing this hunt. And that really struck me. It almost sounds like, I mean, obviously this poem is very personal, right? Like it's Forrest's personal touch. He wrote it, but I feel like there's something more to that potentially, where we're literally supposed to really understand his past experiences to understand where to start and how to go about approaching this step by step. Anyhow, those are the things that I thought were kind of neat.
And I have not watched either video. So I guess I can't really comment. I agree with what Justin said, but I have not watched either one. Have you watched both, Cynthia?
No, I haven't watched that one yet, but
Oh.
I did watch the one that Jack put the link into of the unedited
New Mexico tourism.
New Mexico tourism one.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
And so because I was told by someone, and it was not by Jack or by Dan, that this was the video where Jack thought Forrest slipped and where he got the idea of where Forrest wanted to die. That's why I watched this one twice. And
I might
now
have
what-
misunderstood, but I it's my understanding
And-
that he didn't glean anything from that, right? Jack didn't. Is that right?
I thought that's what he said in the article. That's
Yeah,
that he did or he did not.
Did he
did not.
not?
That he did not glean anything from the New
Correct.
Mexico tourism video.
He just wanted to see it. Yeah.
And was that in his story today on Medium or in Dan's story?
I can scan through real quick. Well, that's where the link was. Is the link in the dance?
I think that's in the
His-
Medium article. I
Gotcha.
think.
Yeah.
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, can you look that up, please? Or maybe
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to watch it.
yeah, or maybe I did get this from someone else, but because it was implied to me that it was important to watch this video, I watched it twice, and because I will never let this go until Jack reveals where the actual treasure was found, or someone else finds it and Jack confirms it. One of the things that is real typical of what Forrest has said a million times is, I want to die in the mountains or along a stream or something. Nothing new there. And then the other thing was, and Justin, so this is what you have to listen to, because I'm going to be bugging you once the snow melts for us to go find this place. So I will spend the next several months trying to figure out as much information I can from the finder and any other material he gives us to go look at. And maybe if you can find this, Mike, maybe this is not the right video. But in the meantime, because it was implied that it was correct, like I said, I really paid attention. So in another part, at the 35-minute mark, Forrest said, "It's in a place that's very dear to me," which he has said before. "I don't want to get too far into that because it'll give you a time frame, and that's a clue I don't want to reveal." So that's that there again, that specific statement does not tell you anything, but the fact that we know it's Wyoming, which probably, I mean, that sort of ties in with what I'm going to say next. But Yellowstone, I mean, it could be West Yellowstone, except Forrest said it was Wyoming, not Montana. So however you want to interpret that. And then, but this is what was, part of this is what was new to me that I have never heard. At the 40-minute and 53-second mark, the interviewer asked Forrest about reading the book and the poem for any help, to figure out the poem. Forrest said, "Read the book normally the first time, then go back and think about each sentence as you read it. Look at the pictures and the drawings." I have never, ever heard him say, read the book. Now, I've heard him say, look at every word. I've heard him say, look at every sentence for an aberration or something that stands out.
But not the drawings.
But I have never, ever heard him say, think about each sentence as you read it. Look at the pictures and the drawings. In a very subtle way, they can help you. And if you have your mojo working, you can find it. So, I mean, so he added a bit of humor to that. The fact that he said, read every sentence, look at the pictures and the drawings, which I'm assuming would match the chapter that you are reading, that and in a very subtle way, they can help you. That is something that I have never heard before. And now when I have some time here to really go back and delve into this and come up with a new spot to go look, I definitely, as I read it now, will start looking at the pictures and drawings. And I mean, this is just my opinion. Because we know that it was found in Wyoming, if you want to go back and just read TTOTC, regarding the chapters that all are about Yellowstone and the long ride home, which is specific to between Casper and Shoshone, which is Wyoming, and you look at those pictures and the drawing, the best picture there that actually sort of fits a scenario that might be what Jack considered is the picture of Skippy holding up a rock. So, and of course, in the same chapter, Forrest talks about Skippy and how special Skippy was to him. So that is just one of the things that I had never heard before that now it gives me something more to ponder. And
I think that's what a lot of people are going to do is try and now figure out the poem for themselves.
yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
I can't find where he talks about the link. I've scanned through both and I'm not seeing it. But he does say, and that's when he gives his email address. Okay. He says, I know people have some questions for me. I'll take some time to answer them. He never did email me back, Cynthia, just so you know.
Okay.
But he
Hi,
says,
Jack, just in case you're watching.
but it's interesting to me. He says you don't have to be an English major, but you do have to look at the text. Actually, he says look at a text. I'm assuming he means the poem. But that's interesting that you kind of have to know who Forrest was and then read the poem with that in mind, I guess. And I guess when he says he figured out where Forrest wanted to be, where he wanted to go die, that's kind of how he knew the area. I wonder how he figured that out. That's what I want to know.
Well, it was also what I found insightful is that the mere fact that he thought to request the video, I mean, that's a testament to him taking every avenue possible to understand who Forrest is and listening to all the videos, excerpts, anything he could get a hold of that has Forrest's voice in it. I think that was pretty pivotal because I know that he did mention that there were some slip ups over the years that were subtle. I haven't heard anybody, call them out explicitly. This might be one of them, Cynthia. I don't know.
And at the end, almost at the end of the interview, before the guys actually prompt Forrest to say the last line that they asked him to say for their show, like he was giving out something that would be astounding for people to hear. So they could, but no, before they prompt Forrest to say what Forrest actually does repeat at the end, he actually adds on his own, there's one thing I told you, which I wish I had not. That was before those guys prompted Forrest to say what he had said. So the only thing that was new to me in this 45-minute video was when he said about reading every sentence and look at the pictures and drawings in a very subtle way, they can help you. So that is that.
That's pretty cool.
It'll be interesting because I think there was a lot of people that were still wanting to solve, but based on there not being a finder or we needed that information. So, and okay.
Oh, there's the quote. Yeah. So I'm sharing this not because I think there are any hints or important slip-ups here. I don't. But because I think other searchers who miss Forrest will enjoy seeing it. So, maybe
Okay.
you've seen something that he didn't. That's totally valid. Yeah.
I have breaking news coming in on a text, I think. Pardon me for a second.
Okay, well, as we wait for our breaking news, let me.
I'll play it again. All right, go ahead.
I'm sticking with my I'm sticking with that link, that video being worth something. Whether it is or not, who knows? For me,
it's worth checking out.
For me,
no
that
doubt.
sentence that I've never heard before, and then Forrest, before they prompt him to reword that for the New Mexico tourism ad, and that I believe Forrest really did. I don't know. Or was Forrest just acting and playing? With Forrest, it was always really hard to tell. So, who's
Well,
to
this is
say?
an interesting question. Alan Kay says in 2018, Forrest said he wanted his ashes scattered at the special spot. Do you think that is still true? I know he wanted to be, I believe he wanted to be with Peggy. I believe that would have been in Texas. I believe the family may have decided a different strategy because of crazy people. So I don't know if his wishes is the same because of the reality of what he went through. I don't know anymore is my answer. That was a long answer to say I don't know, but I know he wouldn't want his ashes disrupted, and I want and his family be able to have a spot to have closure and grieve. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know because I think his ultimate wish is to be with Peggy, and so him and Peggy being at a spot that would be that. I just don't know. I've gone around and around. Not that this is important to the solve. I've been interested in that. So anyway.
I have been in touch with Zoe regarding, when I was in Temple, Texas, and I actually went to the Hillcrest Cemetery, I actually did reach out to Zoe and ask her if there is a headstone or a marker there for Forrest and Peggy. And she said, no, there will not ever be a headstone there for Forrest and Peggy. She did not say they're not there. There will just not be a marker there. And she said their markers will be at the Veterans Cemetery in Santa Fe. And neither of those reveal where their ashes are.
And I knew about the New Mexico one. They were okay with sharing it. They're waiting after COVID, so then people don't all go to the location. And that will be just, I think, a pretty cool way that the family came up with. That'll be closure for the searchers. That's not where his body remains, but Santa Fe was special to us. That will be a spot. There's a plaque. There'll be a plaque. And so once COVID's over, I believe that's still the intention, or pretty recently, I'd say in the last month or two, I got that piece confirmed as well. So yeah.
So what do you guys say to when the finder says he's going to sell it together, but he's entertaining the idea of splitting it up so that searchers could have a piece of the treasure chest? I mean, 265 gold coins. What could one of those gold coins go for? If it's worth 2,500 to $3,000, maybe on just the face value, what would somebody pay for a gold coin that was in Forrest Fenn's chest for 10 years? Wouldn't that be interesting if he gave people the opportunity to buy, to buy one gold coin? And would you want one? Would anybody be interested in buying one? I mean, I would if I had the money. That'd be awesome.
I just don't think there's enough people individually to buy all the pieces up. I believe there's a couple of really wealthy people that the premium would be so high because I don't think money matters to them as much. So I think it would be worth more whole. But wouldn't it be cool if everybody got? I heard the finder's considering the pieces because he wants me to get the frog and people to bid for me to get the frog.
What do you think, Cynthia? Justin, would you want to buy a gold coin if he was to do something like one piece type thing?
I'd like to get more than a coin. I mean, geez,
How about the chest itself? Even if it was empty, just the chest.
I think in an ideal world, my ideal outcome to this would be I'm able to bid successfully to get the chest, and I add what I've been collecting over the years to it. It wouldn't fit. It'd have to be a larger vessel, and then rehide it. That would be cool. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome. That would be
I vote for that.
to throw the chase.
Let's
Yeah, I
do
vote for that too. That'd be great. Yeah, that would really be neat. What about you, Cynthia? Interested in any of it or no?
No, I would vote for him selling it as a whole unit to Justin with the solution and the location as part of the deal. And then Justin can have an envelope with that in it and sealed and not open it, but put it in the chest so that when the person then finds Fenn's chest, which Justin rehid, they get the location and the solution to Fenn's poem. And I'll tell you what, to me, that's more important than the stuff in it.
That was my suggestion, to Jack. My suggestion would be if you include the sealed solution as part of the auction. Oh my gosh, I think that there is a small group of folks that would bid substantially higher with that in the
Sky's
mix.
the limit on that. But what if he did it with the caveat that you can't release it publicly?
Well, that's just no fun. But
Yeah,
I
right.
I wouldn't. But you know, it's when you put those types of caveats on it, I think that people are less inclined. You know, just personally.
Yeah, if you're going into the mid 7 figures, I would think you're not going to have any caveats put on you. If you get it at a discount, maybe, but you wouldn't have the caveat pieces. But
He's
yeah,
definitely got some decisions to make, doesn't he? I just can't believe it's been in a vault in New Mexico this whole time. I take it out every day and look at it, get all over myself. You know what I mean? I do certain things I'm not going to talk about to it. But, you know, that's
Oh
just
my
me.
God. So much for the Forrest knowing that the treasure is wet.
Oh,
We know.
somebody clip that and send it to me.
Oh, and
Justin,
okay. Well, never mind. I had so
you broke him. You broke Justin. You broke him.
he knows me. He should not be amazed by anything that comes out of my mouth. But anyway, I was going to change the subject again since we talked about it being wet, and I'm talking in a good way now. The real way that Forrest stated it in this same video. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. I'm pretty sure it's the video I watched today of the unedited New Mexico tourism one, where those guys really hounded him a lot about the fact that he said it was wet, and physics says it's wet. It's in the Rocky Mountains. How would it not be wet? But they hounded him about that a lot. And I am pretty sure it's in this video where he talks about he knew that the fact that it was going to be wet was an issue, and the key was iron. The key was inside the chest. Moisture was going to make that key rust. So Forrest put that key supposedly in baggies, trying to keep it dry for as many years as it would stay dry. So if you want to go back to, of course, this is just me because I won't let this go, and try to figure out where this chest was actually hidden. For me, and I'll go back and watch this video 10 more times. If you think about the conditions of it being hidden somewhere in the mountains, and not just rain and snow maybe coming down on it, but maybe there is a constant steam from a hot springs or a warm water there. So anybody that's ever been to Ojo Caliente or any hot spring, it can be one in New Mexico. When that water's a good bit hotter than the air around it, there's steam. I mean, you can just drive through New Mexico, or I mean, Yellowstone, and see this as well. So maybe Jack thought about that as well, which it doesn't have to take you just to Yellowstone. There's actually hot springs in all 4 of the states. But anyway, just another thought I wanted to bring up about Forrest, them really talking about the wet, and then Forrest confirming about the iron key.
Well, and the iron key, way back in the day, I said the key, I got from Forrest that it was an iron key, and he did not want that information out from him. And so I put it up. I think it was Chase Chat. It might have been Thor. And everyone's like, nope, you're wrong. And I said, don't you think it's important that everyone knows? And his answer was very cryptic. It's like, it's important. He's like, but it's not going to come from me. And I said, okay. And God, I went down that rabbit hole for months thinking, what hint does that bring? It could be something as simple of what you're saying, Cynthia. I think there's a symbolism, something. There's something more there. And I don't know what it is about that darn key, because he said it to me several times. And there's something about the key.
Well, how about the emerald ring that's just gone? It's just disappeared.
Yeah, that's so strange.
It's like, I don't know where it is. So they
A
moved the
pack rat.
couch. They moved
Oh
the
my
couch
God.
again, and there it is. It's been there for 10 years underneath this couch.
I have a theory. A
Yeah.
pack rat took that gold ring out of the chest and took it to the nook, went to the restroom there in the nook, and that's the dirt that Tucker smelled the bronze ring.
Oh,
You know, at this point,
we're
I think
back to the GPS. It's the nook, guys.
I
We
think
had
it's
it.
more likely that the source put some bronze there because he was messing with us either way with that solution.
Yeah, probably.
right. Yeah. And you know what? That could be. Wouldn't that be something?
No more. Anyone that says GPS must slap themselves on the hand. No more GPS. It's over. GPS is
Numbers
over.
are there though, astronomical, that it's a coincidence.
Try
I'm
the
not-
wheels there as much as you made.
That's
like-
part of it too. I just haven't gone into that yet, but I'm sure that's going to be part of it too somehow, somewhere.
Well, you know, the GPS saw where the other location was at the medicine wheel. That's when we should have known that was BS. Oh, Mike, your try the wheel worked. It just wasn't the right one, but gosh, it fit. It was exactly right. Wonk, wonk, wonk. He got us. You got us. Yeah. Come to World Series of Fenn. I dare you, sir.
Yeah, World Series of Fenn's going to be very interesting this year. I'll say that.
Yeah. So the source, of course, was and come meet the newlyweds the night before. He's definitely been invited, and I will make sure that our finder has an invitation as well. I don't
And
think he'll come.
which day are we doing the cage match between the Source and Cynthia? Is that on Saturday?
Hey,
We have to sell tickets, so
as long as I can put it on YouTube, whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? We did get a super chat. No,
Yes, and we should have betting. We are in Vegas, so there should be bets placed.
maybe we should do a best solve contest. Whoever can submit.
I
the
have
best solve.
$1,000 on Cynthia. I know the two people. I have all my money on Cynthia. Well,
The-
actually, just based on passion alone.
I was going to say the wrath that I feel regarding the source and I won't even go with the words because you three have already heard me do my rant.
Yeah,
Who are
don't
you
use
talking
those
about,
words.
Cynthia?
Don't
The
use those
source.
words.
Source.
Yeah.
The
And when-
source. I'm
Oh.
talking about the source, not Jack the Finder.
And for
No,
those,
I'm gonna.
What's that guy's name?
yeah,
You almost got me.
for those,
Um,
it was me. It was not me. We legitimately had somebody reach out and give
yes,
us
I
the
know.
info.
So
Just
no,
letting
I
you know. They think
that-
you made it up.
could actually be either instead of the bachelorette party and the bachelor party, let's just have me and the source in that cage. That'll be a hell of a party.
Noel Garcia says, I think we should look for the Ark of the Covenant. Who's in for teamwork? Thank you for that super chat, Noel Garcia. But at least this one doesn't turn into a treasure or urban legend. I mean, this one was found. It took 10 years, but Davio, we'll see you at the wedding too. Thanks. We'll see a lot of people at the World Series of Fenn and/slash wedding. Yeah, it should be very interesting.
and it should be really interesting because we have 4 times the capacity of right now that's allowed in the chapel. So
Yeah.
we may all go outside. Only some may come in.
Right.
We're getting married, damn it. I'm not letting COVID. You don't owe me COVID. But it is, they notified us today. And I'm like, just no. We have more literal family coming than the number they've given us. But no, we'll find a way.
Now, Rooster Cogburn brings up a point. He says to the finder, sell the treasure intact for maximum monetization, but do it soon. The stock on this will drop fast. Strike now and congrats. I mean, what do you guys think? The price of the chest this month as opposed to a year from now? Do you think a year from now that the hubbub dies down and the value goes down, that somebody will pay?
That should go to Justin because he's one of the bidders. So
Oh yeah, I'm. It's really hard to say how this is going to go down. I think that it really depends on whether or not the solution is included. It sounds like it's not going to be, whether or not he's going to part it out. But yeah, I'm actually really curious to see what this is going to go for. I mean, sometimes emotions run awry run amok in these situations, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 40% over appraised value.
Well,
Okay.
but I think if they try to sell it through like a Sotheby's or wherever, I think the lawsuit needs to settle first. Because if there is an active lawsuit, like right now, there's filings to get in probate court against Forrest Estate. I don't think they could sell things, or maybe there would be a lot of disclosures that would have to be with the so Justin, would you make a bid on it right now knowing there's 2 active lawsuits? Or would you wait for that to clear?
I don't think that we're going to have that choice anyway. Like, it seems pretty clear the lawsuit's going to be cleared up before it comes to market, but I wouldn't let that detract me personally.
Yeah, but you're I think you're also a searcher that knows how frivolous, in general, if something's in litigation and then put up on the auction block, there's a risk to the potential new owner, just like in probate court right now. So with all of that, I don't know. It just seems like that needs to clear first. I hope it clears quickly, but
Well, the autobiography itself. I mean, that I think people would pay just to get the autobiography in the jar. I mean, it's in
well, so
Forrest Fenn's handwriting, right? That's pretty cool.
So we haven't talked about, so now what happens with the lawsuits? There's 2 active lawsuits. Arizona, they don't deserve a name. Arizona and Chicago. And please don't, I saw some really, really harsh language on at least one of the people that are suing. Let's just say, like, let's keep the personal attacks out of it. So in general, though, we have 2. They both, from what I understand, are now suing the estate or going to sue the estate. So I think, like I said last week, everybody said, "Why? How'd you get the 8th? What do you mean the 8th?" So on the 7th, everything came out. I think by tomorrow we're going to see some back and forth or motions filed, or maybe the day after. I don't know. I believe it's going to be tomorrow. That basically says, now we have a finder. The finder's represented. Here's the finder's representation. Here's the name. And I don't know exactly by who. I'm not a lawyer enough to understand this. But the Forrest, if we go with the premise of the lawsuit, let's talk about the Chicago one. She has said all she loves Forrest. All she wants is a name of the person who stalked her. We now have a name. So if we go with her premise and there wasn't ulterior motives, the Forrest Fenn estate should be done now. They should be able to withdraw. They should not be involved at all anymore, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. It's the finder has the treasure chest in their position. They know who the finder is now. Yeah. It should be between the finder and them. Whether the case has merit or not is a whole other discussion. but I
Unless
agree with that.
there is an entire switcheroo. And so at the beginning, it was stalker finder, then it was prank. Do you believe there is a chance that there is going to be another change in philosophy that keeps the Forrest Fenn estate as the litigant, as the defendant?
I wouldn't surprise me.
I believe
You
we're
know,
going to see
given
that.
given what
Another.
the court has been willing to entertain so far, I mean, it's borderline circus at this point, you know, so why not
Yeah.
let go further, you know?
Yeah. So, and then what comes next, then now it should be Forrest Fenn's estate's out of it because we have a finder who has said he has a chest, or knows the possession, or, you know, it's his, etc. That should be what happens. I don't believe it's going to be what happens. I think we have another chapter here, another episode in this crazy episode of search. I believe at least one of the lawsuits is going to continue. I think both of them. I don't know the Arizona, because we don't get to see the Arizona person on YouTube all the time and kind of give some raw emotions and things. I don't know what the vested interest is. Is if he truly wants, if they both truly just want the finder, you know, to come forward and information on the finder to sue him, we have that now. So, but I just think there's more to it, at least in one case. So,
Yep. Yep.
And the YouTube video today that was done against Shiloh, you're not allowed to even have the solve. I didn't understand that. Like, I don't understand why Shiloh's not allowed to have the solve. Zoe's not allowed. They're not allowed to speak. You have to go through attorneys. Do not speak. Like, that attorney
Oh.
now owns the search. It's just, it's odd to me.
Some
The entire
people think
chain.
they have a right to tell other people what they can and can't do. You're entitled to your opinion on what other people do, but don't tell them what they can or can't do. Anyway, Hey points out a little plastic action figure has been sold for nearly 200 grand. I mean, you know, if you get collectors that want something, that price is going to go through the roof. Chris B says, I think the chest ends up at the Smithsonian, not a public auction, though the auction would be enjoyable to watch. If it does go to auction and it is one of these big auction houses, would that be public or would that be private? We already know the finder, so it's not about him being anonymous, but would the auction itself and the amounts be public or private?
Not
I
the
don't
amounts,
think
but
that I don't think either has to be public. There are private auction houses that, you know, are tailored toward, you know, a certain elite crowd where, you know, it never really sees the light of day. You know, it's an invite only type of deal, or you have to basically fill out an application and, you know, have certain
money
value and so
escrow
forth.
and
Yeah, it's
yeah. Prove you're a bidder. I got you. So wouldn't
yeah.
be something to watch live though if it was live. If it
That
was
would be neat. It would be
televised,
really neat to see. I don't think there's been enough information to say which way he's leaning. I don't know how he's going to do this. I mean, he seems like a bright guy. I mean, I'm sure I fully expect him to do the right thing in terms of appraisals and go with a reputable auction house. Now, whether or not that ends up being private, I don't know. Yeah.
And that's going to take, from what I understand, I know very little about it, but the few people I talk to, that's going to take some time. That's not that treasure chest is not going to be able to, and contents will not be able to be appraised within, a week or a month. It's going to take, from what I understand, several months, if not more than that. So, Minotaur Marino asks, all of us, so can we go over how you all got duped with the GPS solves so bad, or is it too soon?
it's
No.
not.
I mean, I think I
say,
thought we went
I
over
say
that.
release it. I mean, release it again. I mean, it's not too soon if he's meaning, is it too soon for me?
Yeah, no.
No,
we were
I
wrong.
mean, I
We
think
admit-
all four of us said it was wrong. Right.
Oh yeah, it's
I mean, I'm saying
certainly
yes,
wrong.
I
Yeah.
agree
But
that
still,
our source messed with us and intentionally sent us on his wild goose chase. But I still loved it.
I believe the source believes that that's where the treasure chest was found. In other words, I don't believe the source was just messing with us. I believe that he believes that's where it was found. The finder has disproven that. Okay. But you guys didn't have an awesome trip up in Yellowstone.
But let me go back. How did we get duped? So I've had 200, 300, 400 people send me their solves. This was a known person to, I don't know how many, because some people repeatedly send it to me so much. I don't want to count them as 5 people when they send. So I don't know, hundreds, let's just say. To me, the reason we got duped is this was a known person to us, seemed authentic, seemed not, I don't want to say, didn't seem unstable, seemed like it was a coherent solve, seemed to have some information that timed wise, and there was a little confusion on it, but timed wise seemed to line up. Had pictures that at the time was conveyed, and it looked, there were some pictures that we didn't share that looked pretty convincing. Add all that together with a known person XYZ. Now the problem was by the time we got up there, and now we have different minds. It's not just Mike telling me and me going, that's pretty cool. Now we have Cynthia and Justin. We think very differently, and that's a very positive thing to say. Then we started seeing some inaccuracies or inconsistencies. We started clarifying. The biggest one was the pictures at the Nook. There was some inconsistencies, and I'll just leave it at that. We started asking the questions. We were able to get some information of, let's see some metadata then. Didn't want to provide the metadata of when were these pictures taken? Were they picture? We were told they were June of, well, anyway, a post find. We got enough information otherwise. Then there was a few inaccuracies that we were able to kind of have them come clean on. Oh, that was just my guess. I wasn't, it was my opinion. And now, and then things just fell apart. I think it got so, and I'm actually, even though it was brutal to go through the process with the search community, it was really helpful because you guys grabbed some of the inaccuracies that I didn't even realize. And then when we clarified, the source would say, oh, I messed up, or, oh, I didn't get that right, or, oh, did I say whatever he said, whatever excuse, it came out. And then the more inaccuracies that came, it fell apart. And then you add now, I directly went to the finder and he said no. Between all of that, but how did we get duped at the beginning? Because known person, the solve, I think it would have been a cool solve because it was exact. It wasn't invented. It was in the poem. All of that. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I don't know if duped is the right word. Like, it was a potential solution that was investigated. I don't recall ever claiming to say that it's correct. I mean, I thought that it had merit. I thought that it was a possibility, but I maintain that there's always the potential for it to be incorrect. Like, we had no definitive proof. And that's really what I was searching for when we went on site, was a direct link where I could say, yes, this location is the same location that is in the original finder's photos. And that was really hard to do, just given circumstances and the nature of the photos that the finder had distributed initially. And we didn't find that link. There was no, there was some circumstantial evidence, and there was, some inklings in that direction, but certainly doubts, no doubt. And that's where we ended up. But I think, the important thing is for these solutions, that potential solutions that come up, even going forward, like, I don't think anybody can claim that they're correct until we have some sort of definitive proof. In this case, from Jack, I think, unless there are folks that are still doubting Jack's validity, I'm sure there are. And that's fair too. I mean, like, can I say 100% that Jack is the finder? Well, no, but I'm certainly above 90%. I'm getting up there pretty high, but can I ever be 100% sure? No, I wasn't in the room, but it's all about probability and just kind of taking it at face value, I think, until you have a compelling reason to the contrary. Like what's been presented so far, it seems clear to me that Jack is likely the finder, and any solutions that we come up with as a community are going to be disputed. There's not going to be any definitive proof unless we get some sort of authoritative source saying it is correct. And the only person that we have at our disposal that's even remotely close to that is Jack. So it's going to be hard going forward. I don't think anyone's going to come forward and say, yes, 100%, this is it. It's just not going to happen.
Well, what backs up Jack is Shiloh saying that is the person.
That helps.
Right.
Yes.
It also helps that Jack is in the picture with Forrest when
Right.
they're sitting
Yeah.
there looking at the treasure. I
Well,
mean,
and
how
here's
can
the
it
other
not
thing.
be him?
Here's the other thing. He's going to be called out. Who would volunteer to be called out in a lawsuit? The lawsuits are going to transition to
Yeah.
him at least.
Because
would do
Shiloh and the family paid him to do this. Don't you
Oh,
know
okay.
what's really going on here?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
always
looking-
conspiracy theory people.
Looking Glass says, getting caught up on a serious question. Is the source of the GPS solve affiliated with the finder? Also, can you share the names of the GPS source? So the GPS source believes he knows the finder. The finder, I gave the finder his name, and the finder said, I don't know that person, and it's not the GPS solve.
And I just
So-
want to be clear, what the source told me is he knows somebody that's close to the finder. So,
You need to go right back through your, because I now look
I
at
don't
the
need to do
text.
nothing.
Yes, you
Sorry.
do. Right
Yeah.
now, he said he talked the last time he talked to that the finder. Now we know is Jack. Last time he talked to Jack was about a year ago, but he's kept in contact with the person close that's on
Got
the
it. Yeah,
team.
right.
Blah blah blah.
Right.
All the other. And can we share the name of the GPS source? We will not. Even though I do think he duped us. Even though I don't think it was right for him to do, either intentionally or not. We made that deal, and we're not going to share that information.
Oh, by the way, I do know the first and last name of the source. If you send my PayPal account 1 penny, I would be delighted to put this asshole's
no.
name
She won't do
out
it. She won't
into
you're
the
too
world.
good of a person.
And I just want to go back to Mike one. I mean, Mike, you're such a sweetheart, and you're going to defend everybody, and that's cool. That's why the world loves you.
Well,
What did you say about the source really maybe believing that that really was correct? What did you say?
I believe the source is 100% confident that that is the correct location. There are many searchers who are 100% and they're 100% confident in their solutions in all 4 states. We went with the one that made the most sense with us. That's why we went with it
Wait,
live.
but he said more than that. He didn't say this is a solve I believe in.
Correct.
He said this is the finder. I'm 100% sure. I
Right.
know the finder. I know the person communicating.
Understood.
If he just said this is my solve and it's really cool, it would be along with the other 200. He gave pictures. He said
understand.
that's the exact spot. He now is saying something different, and he said, well, that was for me a couple of years ago when I was out there. That's not what he said at the beginning. So let's be clear. I am not upset that he had a solution he believed in. I'm upset that he wrapped it around lies, deceit, or inaccurate information, depending on intent. I don't know which one, but I know I was sent on a wild goose chase, and it's not okay. You know who you are. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to say his name, and Cynthia's not going to either. Don't
So-
send her a penny. Don't send her a penny.
So the source knowingly lied to you guys, and that is proven because Mindy posted on Chase Chat all about being his search partner, she had seen those same pictures you guys put in your video after we all came back. She saw those same pictures in 2018. So it's not like Scott said, oh, he got these pictures from the Finder. I mean, that's what he's saying, that the source is saying he got the pictures from the Finder.
Actually,
which is why we went.
Actually, it's not.
So it's like Mindy's saying, you guys are all idiots. I saw these pictures back in 2018. So
Well, I think we can all agree that the source says validity has
put into question. Yeah, that's true.
Is there any harm, Keypro? I mean, I just don't know. Like, is there any harm in sharing the remaining photos that were given to you by the source, or are those still off the table? I don't
So
know.
for me, I'm in a hard situation because I would prefer to share everything except the person's name. But this is Mike's. I mean, this is the thing that people
sure.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Not that you don't understand. The three of us went, but we went because Mike. And so for me, that's and Mike does feel, this is why everyone likes him and hates me, because I want to share everything except the name, and I want to show some of those pictures that were damn convincing. But I think Mike wants to put the baby to bed. I think he has a soft spot for that source and says, okay, let's not rake him through the coals. I don't even think Mike thinks he lied to us. I think he genuinely believes a lot of what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think he lied to us either. I think he believes what he's saying. That still doesn't mean it's factual. Doesn't mean it's true. Like I say, there's a bunch of searchers who are 100% confident in their solves. The Finder is the one that matters at this point. So, but I will share these two things. I know I missed.
How do we get here?
Hey, Cynthia, you could whip up a few sidecars.
Oh my God, no. It's hard enough for me to just sit here and shut up. So
They're
no.
wanting the PayPal link.
I'm
No.
I'm just ready to just like.
All I can say is the World Series of Fens is going to be very interesting this year.
Yeah, I'm just ready to rocket off my chair right through the ceiling after today and all the information that came out. So it's hard for me to just sit here and be as calm as I have been.
Oh, okay.
Somebody in the chat says the treasure chest is in a vault in New Mexico. The New Mexico searchers were right. It is, in fact, in New Mexico.
Of course it is.
Whatever.
That's the best comment of the night. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So stop it. Sorry, I have a dog that wants to meet Tucker. I told her all about Tucker. Okay, I need to go take care of a puppy dog. I'll be back.
All right. Everybody's like, spell it. Who is it? What's going on? Maybe we could do that. I wouldn't do it tonight, but maybe later on. Yeah, we can show those pictures. We'll see.
Hey, we might have convinced Mike. I don't believe it.
Well, I'll reach out to the person. I don't think he's going to care at this point, but
Yeah.
I don't think it matters anymore. But
yeah, that's kind of my point. Is like I don't.
You're right.
I don't really see
you're right.
the,
It doesn't really matter, does it? Redneck Express says, you and Cynthia believe so, Cowlazars believes not. That's the difference. I'm not sure what that was about or what that's for.
Malicious intent. And that's the thing. It basically, I know it's not, we all agree it was inaccurate. Was it intentionally given us inaccurate, which would mean delusion, or was it the person lying? Sorry, gotta go take care of it.
That dog don't hunt.
And I say, I have my thoughts on that.
And maybe the truth will come out someday. You never know. It might happen at the World Series of Fenn. You just never know.
If I pin him to the ground and he needs to have a safe word, that will be part of the entertainment.
What's the safe word?
Uh-oh. Not going to tell him. Yeah.
I will text it to you.
Wait, what are we texting? I missed it. What happened?
The safe word that we will give to the source when I pin him to the ground at World Series of Fenn.
Okay.
Hooley says, is it Scott Lanini? I don't know who that is.
Okay, I have no idea.
No,
we're not going there.
Here.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was a joke. I didn't know it was a real. Yeah, no, we're not going to say who it is.
We're not saying.
Have we been in touch with Mike from Japan? I haven't heard from him in a long time. MEH, I've not heard from. Have you, K-Pro? Cynthia?
Probably,
Justin?
I want to say like 2 months ago, and he just had some personal stuff happen at the same time. Many people thought he was the guy from back east. I checked with every back east guy I knew. So no, he just had some personal stuff pop up. He was going to he did a couple chats and shows and things. I just think there's some people that have moved on. That's all.
It's not Scott Disick, everybody.
Okay, no more confirmations of which.
Sorry, what was that name?
Scott
How do
Disick.
you spell
The
that last name?
Kardashians. It's not Scott Disick
Kardashians.
from the Kardashians. Sorry, everybody.
Well, and here's the big thing for me. I don't even have like venom for it's just, yeah, okay. If they got, I have been duped better by other searchers on other stuff. So let's just, and if it's not duped, if it's delusion, there's more delusional searchers than that. So in general, it was nothing special. I think this caught fire. Maybe it was a slow news day. I don't know. It caught fire. It wasn't as important as everybody leads it to believe, but yeah, it was. And I do have to say again, the search community helped us, or helped me figure out there was some big inconsistencies. That's all.
Well, I don't want to hold a grudge. So after I beat that delusion out of the source at World Series of Fenn, I can probably move on.
I'm happy to hear that.
It's good to move on to the Jingle Bell Rock, Cynthia. You got to move
Everybody
on.
needs closure.
You got to
Yeah.
replace the hole with something else. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Oh, that's so true. T Brown, because you always know there's going to be a personal zing. Mike duped you, K Pro. Mike duped you into marrying him. LOL.
Oh,
Don't be blinded by the light. Oh,
nice.
sorry.
And I lost what I was.
You know, I think overall, like, we had a good time. You know, it was a fun trip. It was a nice day out in the woods. I mean, couldn't ask for much more. I was totally fine with it. You know, it was fun.
So you know what was the interesting part? I had a great time at the Nook, but I do have to say I know that someone close to you owned that tackle shop, and when we went downstairs and looked at that big map, and then the guy that owns it or it works there came down, and you guys didn't know each other, but I thought you were best friends by the end of the discussion. I actually looked at that and said, this is why I want to live up here. Like, that was one of the most impactful of those few days. And Tony Hemman, now that, and but there was like 2 or 3 things, but just being there in front of that big map and all that, it was so cool. So it came together for a reason. And it wasn't the final location though, Source, since that's your real name.
So let's go back to conspiracy theory land for a minute. Does anybody check the dates on this stuff? June 6th, he finds it. Unfortunately, September 7th, Forrest passed away. And now December 7th, the finder comes out. Why is it always this time of the month? We're like full moon or something. I don't know. What's going to happen January 7th of next year? It's just weird that it's all right around the 7th for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. I actually would like to congratulate Jack.
Source? Oh, sorry.
I want no. Oh, fuck no. No, I want to congratulate Jack. I have notes here so I don't get it wrong.
How do
Dan
you
Barber.
pronounce his last name? Is it Stuff? Stuff?
I don't know how to pronounce it, so I don't say it. So anyway,
Wasn't
Jack.
it supposed to rhyme with
Yeah,
shy?
yeah.
Source?
Another intentional lie. Anyway, let's get away from the source. It increases my blood pressure. Holy hell. Anyway, no, let's go back to the good thing that happened today. And I want to congratulate Jack the Finder, Dan Barbarisi, who wrote the article for Outside Magazine, the Fenn family, and Dale for synchronizing the release of 4 of these informative pieces. The fact that they actually, I mean, to me, I found this incredible, is that all this stuff happened exactly almost at the same time. And it worked out so well that nobody knew it was coming who has a YouTube channel that would have broadcast it, or me with my whatever, and I would have been shouting it out to the world too. So I just think it was really commendable the way they pulled this off, and that they all put it out there this morning.
Well, I do have to say, I'll give you some. Here, hit the breaking news button. Hit it, Mike. Hit it. Hit it.
Oh, did the source tell you this was coming?
You guys didn't hear that.
Oh my God, the source told you ahead of time it was coming.
Well, didn't it come out early this morning, like 6 a.m.?
Wait.
or something?
So if I hadn't played in a poker tournament really late last night where I was in a hotel room because it was such the wee hours of the morning, and I could have gotten someone to answer his phone at around 5 a.m., there would have been a YouTube live. Just saying.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
No
I'm sorry.
comment.
I don't hear you
No
right
comment. Busy day at work today.
now. Yeah,
That's
at 5 a.m. It was a busy day at work.
Poor
Oh, I was asleep.
Mike.
Yeah. Oh,
Just saying. Just
Alright.
saying. But it would even be more synchronized. But that's okay. He's ignoring me now.
Oh, well, somebody said the article should have been called "Full of Stoof."
How do you pronounce his last name?
I don't know.
I tried to put it in several converters, like translators, just to see, like, did it rhyme at all with shy? And I can't get anything close to it.
Shy guy from back east. Well, is it
Yeah.
an anagram? Somebody should
Remember
probably-
what our source told us? Remember what the source said?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the source. Okay, source.
Yeah, I heard Matt DeMoss pronounce his name as Stoof. I'm
Stoof.
not sure. I'm not sure if that's
Okay,
right. I don't
Here's a
know.
question. Here's a question in the chat for maybe Cynthia and K-Pro. Somebody says if Matt was at Forrest Fenn's house that Saturday, why wouldn't Forrest have told him about Stoof? Any comment on that?
Oh, sorry, it stuttered,
Um,
but I couldn't quite hear. Go ahead.
I talked to Matt about that lately.
Or maybe Forrest did tell him. I mean, I don't know.
No.
Somebody asked in the chat.
No, if Matt was here, is Matt in the chat room? I talked to Matt today and I asked him that question about the timing. So one of the things I said in the Finders article that he released, didn't he say that he found the treasure on Saturday and started the long drive to Santa Fe? So so from Yellowstone to Albuquerque, I've driven this a lot of times. It is, I think it's about 15 hours or something like that. Now I would drive it straight through, but a lot of people don't want to do that much driving in one day. And the guy had to go retrieve it. The article, Jack said he retrieved it Saturday and started the long drive to Santa Fe. I believe that's how it was worded. It didn't say he found it Saturday. He said he retrieved it Saturday. My guess is it took him 2 days to do it or not. I mean, my God, if you have that treasure chest in your car, are you really going to sleep at a truck stop overnight with that in there? I really don't know.
You can't sleep for 2 days.
Yeah, I would guess he wasn't sleeping. He was driving probably. So maybe, but if he still had to retrieve it and still drive it, that would have gotten him to Santa Fe late at night. When I think about the logistics, because I have done this before, it seems to me that he would have, even if he retrieved it at daybreak, I don't know, maybe he drove it all in one day, but that gets him to that would have gotten him to Fenn's house really late in the evening. So I can't believe that he drove it and then that same Saturday went to Fenn's house, because it would have been nighttime.
Well, somebody points out that Matt DeMoss talked about that on Amy Seek's show earlier. Amy was live earlier, so maybe he addressed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he might have.
No, there's super
I
chat.
would like to hear what was disclosed before I would say anything more. But
John Miller says, hold on a second. John Miller says, I can't wait till the next YouTube of Adventures with Cynthia. Can she do an Alaska adventure too? Are you going to make more vlogs, Cynthia? Any plans? You probably,
No, I don't have any plans right now.
You're not going to do one at the source?
Of the source?
No, at the source. A little message for the source from Cynthia Meacham.
Not that I can
let's
share.
not fuel this. Okay, so what did you ask before that? I forgot.
The Matt DeMoss thing.
The thing. Here's the thing to think of at a higher level, and then once I actually watch Amy Seek's show, I might answer additional. If you were Forrest and you had a searcher coming to your house and the searcher arrived, would you just casually mention, like, oh, by the way, it was found today? I'm going to put that out later, so just don't say anything. Of course not. In my opinion, I don't care who it was. I don't even care if it was Cynthia or somebody that he was very close to. I don't think he's telling anybody until the whole community knows. The worst thing in the world is not that Matt's not trustworthy, but did he know Matt for the last 20 years? I don't think he told anybody because his own family didn't know until he put it out via those emails, in my opinion. And so if he would have told Matt, let's just play that out. Matt tells Cynthia and says, "Oh my gosh, I'm coming to your place. It's been found." Cynthia, like the person she trusts more than anybody, like says it to me and says, "Don't say anything." I tell Mike we're live before he can even announce it. That's worst case scenario. There's no way there's no way he planned that out. He didn't even tell his own kids. So I think he had a way of, if he's not going to tell anybody, he's not going to tell a searcher, even if he's close to that searcher the day of.
And Redneck Express says Matt was visiting with Forrest on the morning of June 6th and reported Forrest said, "I have all the time in the world," and was very relaxed, no indication of a find. So if that is true, I guess that leads credence that maybe the finder, Jack, didn't show up till Saturday night after Matt had left, possibly.
I would like to, I want to just read it or hear it first, because I do have to say that I knew that Matt had arrived there that day, and Forrest and I had some words about that. Let me just leave it at that. But I don't.
Good words or bad words?
We had some come to Jesus words.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll save that for another day.
So I need to see what Matt put out, and I need to see if Matt's okay with what he doesn't know about the exchange I had with Forrest about that. So between all of that, let's save that for another day.
Matt on the show one of these days. Somebody points out that stoof backward is foots, but one foot in front of the other. There it is. Forrest knew everything somehow. I don't know how. Okay.
Well, somebody did ask, did
My
he take it?
God.
Did Forrest take the frog out of the treasure chest because he was keeping it for me for later? I didn't know Forrest when he put the treasure chest. I didn't know him for like 7 years before he put the treasure chest out,
Or did
5.
you?
Or did I? Dun dun dun.
And Hooley points out just because he left Saturday doesn't mean he made it on the same day, except Forrest announced it Saturday. So actually, did Jack ever say if he was physically in the house, or did he just give Forrest the proof over the phone, like with an email or something, and then Forrest announced it? You know what I'm saying? Do we know if Jack had to show up with the treasure chest?
I don't think Jack was there initially, right? I mean, I think it was the combination of the photo and maybe
Right.
information provided that, allowed Forrest to know that it had been found.
Okay, so here's something that I.
But the finder just talked about it in his Medium story, that the first one that came out, that he had been to Fenn's house.
Oh,
He
yeah.
went to Fenn's
yeah.
house.
But on that
I
day, I
agree.
think that's the part
Oh,
that Justin. So
okay.
when I talked to Forrest on the phone after he had announced, and actually I got to give credit to Davio. He was the one that just said to me, "I need you to hear it from Forrest." So I called Forrest and I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "How sure?" And here was his answer. I haven't said this before because I didn't want to cause controversy, but who the hell cares now? He said, "Those pictures were pretty convincing." And I said, "Pictures? You know these searchers. No offense, I'm one of them. I'm like, you went by pictures? Are you out of your," and I pulled a Cynthia and I threw out the F word. And I said, "Are you out of your mind?" And he's like, "I can tell you." He said, I have enough comfort. And I said, "Okay."
The
And we
stick
only
and all
talked.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he knew from other, and then I actually emailed him later and I said, "Pictures? You went by pictures? Like with it?" And he's like, "No, like additional things." Now that leads me to believe he only went by the pictures information contact. He hadn't seen the chest yet on that Saturday. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. It may be wrong, but when he said pictures, I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Forrest, do you realize you might have to recant tomorrow?" And he's like, "You're not here." And sometimes he does this. This wasn't the first time. "You're not hearing me, Christy. You're not hearing me, K-Pro." He's like, "It's confirmed." I'm like, "Okay, confirmed." So, but he did at that. So that, now looking back, I don't think he saw it before. It might have been on that Sunday. By Monday, all hell's breaking loose. I don't know.
Jeez.
There it is, everybody. That's how it went down. Well, Forrest said 2020 there'd be a lot of surprises. Boy, was he right.
Well, speaking of surprises,
my God.
I did get an email from Jack. I mean, there's nothing in it that's very exciting, but folks might be interested in hearing.
Jack the Finder?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Reminds
yeah.
me. Go ahead, Justin.
He says, tell your dog he is a good boy for me, and we all understand that Yellowstone has exciting dirt. I did read that article you were in and was impressed by your searching. I'm not looking to give away more than that it was in Wyoming, but of course, the evidence is still out there for anyone who wishes to figure it out from home. And maybe as I talk, more people will understand the mindset I had, and that can be of some help. I'll keep you in mind when I sell the treasure. Jack. That's cool.
That is cool. And that reminds
That
me,
was cool.
a searcher emailed me today and got a response from Jack and said, go ahead and share it if you want. So again, this is secondhand information, everybody, but a searcher reached out to me and K-Pro, who got the email, and said,
So I read this about an hour ago, but you can do it again.
you read it on the
No, I
show?
did read it an hour.
You didn't read it on the show. Or did you?
Okay. But go ahead. No, read it again.
For some reason, it's real. You got a delay for some reason. I don't know why. But okay, if it was already read, this is what Jack had to say to the question of, did you leave something behind for somebody else to find? That's what you said already? Where was I?
Proof you
Was I
never
here?
listened to me ever. Go ahead. No, go
And
ahead.
the
Go
answer
ahead.
is yes, I did. And no, the answer was no, I
Oh
didn't.
my God.
And I'm afraid that would make the place too much of a target. You saw what happened to the monolith in Utah. If you still want to figure it out, I did oh, yeah, you did read this. There was enough evidence to definitely do so. Otherwise, okay. All right. Yeah, you did read it. All right. I stand corrected.
Okay. Forrest Kolb says, can you assume, K-Pro and Cal, can we assume that Shiloh and the family know the location? I believe they know the finder. So if they know the finder, I'm going to assume, maybe, possibly. I don't know is the
But
answer. What do you guys think?
yeah,
Probably.
But
Oh, for sure. Why
but
not? How would
after
they not?
the treasure was found, I don't think they
Right.
before the treasure was
Yeah.
found. Yeah,
Right.
that's an important distinction to make. Does anybody think Shiloh was there in that conference room? Do you think Shiloh took Forrest to where?
Someone had to drive Forrest to that place. Did they sit in their car in Santa Fe in June? I hardly think so.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Right.
well, and you have to remember too, this is my opinion and it's not based on anything factual. It's just a guess. Shiloh was also kind of a bodyguard to him at different events, just going through the Jamie Operation Jamie event. There was a lot more to where Shiloh sat, to where he was in relation to Forrest, to make sure he wasn't too far away, etc. I don't believe he didn't know this could have been a scam like some people have done to Forrest. I don't think Forrest would have gone out without his, I'm going to call him loosely bodyguard, the person that could help protect him more. I think that's more likely than Zoe or Kelly, or I think Piper is able to drive by now. Anyone else. I think it was, in my opinion, going to be Shiloh for protection, let alone trusted, let alone that's his grandpa, his mentor. He had been affiliated, all the other reasons, but that's
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
Tony points out somebody had to take that picture. So there was definitely a third person there, right? Yeah, makes sense. Okay. And then I think it was Tony also pointed out, it's okay, Cowlazars. Everybody was wrong today. That's true. All right. You guys got anything else? What do you think? We're going on 2 hours. You want to keep going?
Well, no,
What do you
is there
think?
anything else in any of the articles that we want to hit? I don't think we have to go through every line. I think it's awesome what's out there. Again, thanks to Jack. But is there anything that we want to cover? Somebody asked me, do I think Jack is Jack? Nope, I don't, because I've seen Jack. I've seen a picture, or I've seen on YouTube. I've seen on YouTube both, so I do not. I think they look like two different individuals. So. But is there anything that we wanted to highlight on any? Actually, yeah, let's end with the article on Medium from the Finder Jack, and just to kind of resonate with the people that are crazy are going to continue to be crazy, but kind of what Jack's going through right now. You want to bring it up, Mike?
Yeah, you want me to show the actual article?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it can't be fun what he's going through, would be my guess.
Yeah, the other one. Forrest Kolb says if the Fens know the location, I wonder if that's coming up next in the court case. The only thing that the judge granted was the name, address, and telephone number of the finder, or email address of the finder. Nothing else was granted. So now, could she ask for additional because she believes everybody's in on this? Perhaps, but we now have a finder. I don't know what'll happen next, but she may ask for that. She may ask for the location and, subpoena whatever. I don't know. Can't. Well, that would be nice to say.
Okay, so here's the article: a statement on the disclosure of my identity. So basically, he let Barb Reese, or whatever the guy's name is, post that article, and then he wanted to give his comments here on why he did. Correct? And
Yeah, correct.
And then as far as how the first Medium article was so well written, well, this guy is a writer. That's what he does, right?
Correct.
That makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Did you want me to read it, K-Pro, or are we just going to go over the highlights? What do you want to do?
No, I want you to go down a little bit. The parts that I want to. So he wanted to remain anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this article pretty clearly is just
So he confirms.
him establishing what his lawyer told him to do. I mean, he's asserting that he's prepared. He wants to remain anonymous. Basically, leave me alone. Here's my stance on everything. I suspect this was probably just guidance from his attorney more than anything.
Well, I think it's definitely that, but it's also the piece of look at the home invasions, the lawsuits, the this,
Mhm.
the that. It's letting the community know, guys, this isn't as easy as you think. Like everybody says, why can't you just give this out? Why can't you just give that? There are things that we know that are not going on, in my opinion, and things that are coming out day to day. So I think, and especially since people were doubting things, even like, was it actually in Wyoming? Because they said they agreed on it. Don't move that, Mike. It says in July, with my support, Forrest announced the fact that the treasure chest had been hidden and found in the state of Wyoming. This was not meant as a slight. I think he kind of is almost ticking off, um, meaning checking off, not ticking off, making mad, the individuals that are doubting in one way or another, wording and those sorts of things. I never thought reading the Finder and I agreed we were going to put out that it's Wyoming made so many people believe, oh, they agreed, but it wasn't really. They just agreed to say it. So I think this is kind of the explanation. And hey, guys, for those of you that aren't as insane as others, this is where we're coming out, where I'm coming out to say, I'm a human being. I have a family, please be aware of that. So those are the big pieces that I wanted to hit.
Yeah, I think it's good that he put out an article just to give an explanation, of where things are as of today, I guess. But he had to move with guards and security. I mean, that's horrible, but it's reality, I guess. And did you notice, K Pro, that he says it's in a vault in New Mexico? And you remember on one of our marathons, we had that discussion. When you find it, what do you do with it? And I was like, you put it in a bank. And you're like, no way. I'm not giving it to anybody. I'm taking it home. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he dumped the rental car and flew home from Santa Fe, but yeah, I don't know. So how do you get it home if you're on a plane? But
And I know some people have already told me they're looking them up. They've hired PIs. They're trying to get information in a
what
positive
end?
way,
To what end?
to prove more or disprove. They're still thinking conspiracy. That's just, to me, this is enough. But again, to each their own. I just say don't do anything illegal. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to harass. You don't need to. I mean, but if I'm having to say that, you're not hearing it. Like if you're already doing that, you're already doing that. So, yeah.
And that physical distance, between him and the treasure now, I think is intentional, not only for practical reasons, but also for security, like folks reading this who might be in that 7%, the treasure's not even in the same state as he is. So just leave him be.
But I unfortunately think the next 6 months. So here's the big thing. I think this week we're going to hear quite a bit from the lawsuit front because of this. There may be new lawsuits. There may be, hopefully, a settlement, and where it's just I withdraw now. I mean, Erskine, hopefully, I don't know though. And then I think we'll have, so where we go from here, I think we have some that are going to continue to try to find that final spot. I think some are going to follow and really be interested in the chest. I think some are going to follow the court case. And then we all just kind of wait and see, and we take it day by day. Michael.
And there it is. Do we now have closure? Did the finders come forward? Do you guys, the three of you, do you have closure, or would you really like to know the solution to have the full closure of how close maybe you were?
I'd like to figure out the solution. You know, I mean, I think there's a distinction between that and someone feeding it to you, but yeah, not for me. No, I don't feel that I have closure yet, but it'll come. It just takes time.
So you're still trying to decipher the poem and figure out where it was?
Well, it's a puzzle I like to solve. I mean, I you know, deep down, I wanted to be the first person to solve this, but I'm still okay as long as I can solve it. It's just going to take some time to figure out.
And now knowing it was in Wyoming, at least that helps narrow down.
That helps. Yeah.
What about you, Cynthia? Closure? Or I think I know the answer, but
I have closure in some respects. I mean, I'm so happy that, I mean, it's so unfortunate the reason that Jack had to come out and give his name, but the fact that he did that, I mean, and that actually, I don't know why that makes me so happy. It doesn't really help me with anything, but I do like some of the other stuff that he said or that was in Dan's article. So I will continue to try to find where the chest was hidden. And then I will ask Justin to reverse engineer it and solve the poem.
You place far too much faith in me.
if anybody can do it, Justin can. What do you think, K-Pro? You think we need the solution, or do you have closure? Do you have closure knowing it wasn't the GPS solution?
Oh, I like that is just put to bed, because I do have to say it was so upsetting to so many people that it helps be able just to say yes or no. If the finder would have come out and said yes, but don't say, that would have been the worst, because it would be hard. But then I got a definite answer, and that's closure. We have a finder. We know the treasure chest is coming. So for me, I've gotten closure enough. I hate to say to kind of move on, but I really would like to know. Just like somebody put, like method, and was it in the park? You know, like something, just something a little bit more. I don't know what that is. Method would be great. Like I would like to know, was it homophone? Was it? If we just had technique, if he said wordplay, that would be interesting, because it would get my mind going again. I feel I have closure until I don't, kind of like Cynthia said, because I feel like it's good enough now. I didn't feel good about how this ended, but I feel good not about how it ended, but that we have an ending, that there was a finder, that there was a treasure chest with the finder, and all of that. I don't like how it went down, but I think in our society today, we knew it was going to get ugly, and you know, it could have gotten a lot uglier. You know,
Still
nobody was
can.
hurt.
That's the
It still
unfortunate
can.
part.
I hope this actually simmers. I don't think a few are simmered. I think they're, but hopefully as a community, we kind of de-escalate it. That's all.
Well, we on our marathons, we always talked about the owner of the land, whether it's the government or somebody else, being the one doing a lawsuit or there being a legal issue. I don't know if we ever thought it would come from another searcher, but I guess people thought of that. But especially another searcher in a different state is just.
Well,
I would not have thought of
disagree.
that. But
I think we knew there was going to be lawsuits. This wasn't the first. There was Hansen before that and a few others. I don't think anyone thought that a judge would actually grant that subpoena to out the finder and not care about their safety and any of the other things. I don't think Forrest even anticipated a judge in this situation. That's the thing that I don't think he thought of.
I still don't understand the reasoning, but maybe one day we go through the documents over again, maybe, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that helps anybody with anything, but
Yeah. Well, and one last thing, Mike, when you just asked me how I felt about today, I actually, after I was over the shock, I was so ecstatic when it was confirmed that the GPS Nook area was wrong. because it's like, oh my God, I can go back and keep searching. So it just made me happy as hell.
So you were happy that you.
I
now you
was
can go
delighted.
for it. Oh,
I
that's
was
nice.
absolutely delighted to know that was wrong and I can keep searching.
And
Me
you were
too.
a little mad. You were a little mad though. You were a little mad.
I was mad at the source.
At who?
The source.
Oh.
Not Justin. Okay.
Oh, no, never.
Does
Justin.
that mean that next summer there could, in fact, be a function in the junction?
Why not?
Absolutely.
Why
Sure.
not?
We could all get together and talk about it. That would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I still want to go to DeLacy Creek. I want to see that spot.
You definitely need to
Oh
go just
my
to check it
God.
out, you know?
I want to
No.
go.
Why? I have 100 people
Yellowstone.
solved. I have 100 people solved that I can make sure that you visit theirs, and they're not even as delusional.
They
as
don't
But
what
just
I-
pretend that it's the spot, and then you'll
Right.
be very excited to go and see it, right?
That's
Yeah. No,
So-
but in all seriousness, two parting comments. One, for folks, who might feel compelled. Look, I mean, Jack's provided an email address. If you feel compelled, use it to email him, but just leave the dude alone. I mean, he's got his own problems right now. Seriously. And then the other comment was around, if you have the opportunity, I highly suggest again to watch Jack's YouTube video from a year ago on confirmation bias. And yeah, it does talk about confirmation bias, obviously, but I think there are other tidbits in there that are worth your time. So check out the video.
And
I was a Finder OG. That's the new shirt. YouTube Finder OG. I was one of the first 25 subscribers. Now he has like 500 within a day, which is awesome. But I was an OG.
My final question to Justin on air is, are you going to return to retrieve your hardware?
I actually not really sure what you're talking about, but if there was hardware somewhere, then yeah, I'd probably feel compelled to fetch it.
Can I go with you?
I don't see why
I want
not.
to go with you when you
And
go.
watch out for the bears, because you might be the carcass. That's all I'm saying. She's been
Right.
clear.
So Daniel Marsden says, listen to me all, no ciphers, and listen good, you didn't. Well played, Daniel Marsden. Well played. That's right. We were wrong. I want to officially say it in case everybody tuned in late. We were wrong. I blame K-Pro.
So just because, wait a
Oh
minute,
my
just
God.
because one person doesn't seem to have ears. So let me read you something, Justin. This is what Outcast Searcher just heard you say. Didn't you guys email him? Now we should leave him alone. That's odd. Is that what you said? My God.
Yeah, not terribly. Maybe I wasn't clear.
No, you were. It's the searcher, but why don't you clarify what you said?
I guess what I'm saying is that the Jack has provided a means of communication via email. He placed that deliberately in his own page or his own Medium article to give folks that are compelled an avenue to reach out. And that gives him a controlled way to respond if he chooses to do so. He may not even look at that email account, but it's up to him. It's not like it's pushing versus polling information. He gets to poll it whenever at his leisure. Whereas if you're calling him, if you're tracking him down at his work, if you're doing anything like that, that's a pushing mechanism. It's not a polling mechanism. You're forcing yourself upon him. Pretty big difference there, I think. So I honestly don't see anything wrong with using the communication channel that he has provided because he has control over whether or not he even gets to view it.
Yeah.
It would be like me telling people, what are you emailing me for when I provide you my email address in the chat?
Yeah.
Stoof is a big boy. If he didn't want emails, he would not have given an email
But
address.
also it's the same as if a searcher arrives on our door saying, well, you gave me your email address. Those are two different things. And I think most of the sane people understand, but we always get somebody that's like, wait, what did you say? And they misconstrue it or spin it to their liking. It's common with a few. So anyway, but I do think you articulate things really well. So it's helpful to say the push-pull. I like how that's said. So if I start emailing Jack constantly, I probably won't get an email back. But here's the other thing. Just like Forrest, it's pretty cool that Jack's going to be able to decide who he wants to communicate with. I know some people are really angry. Forrest talked with K-Pro, but not me. that's called like what like being an American, you're right. Like you get to decide who you want to interface with. So don't be upset if somebody gets an answer and you don't. Maybe he just had more emails that he could have that day or whatever it is. Or, maybe if you email him 50 times, some people think if you scream and threaten at me enough, I'll come on your YouTube channel. No. And if you send me nasty emails enough and curse at me, that I'll respond to you via email. Some people just don't respond to that. Just I'd say kill with kindness, but hey, that's me. That's me. Okay, Mike, what about you? As we part our 2-hour trip.
I just want to say thanks to Justin, Cynthia, and K-Pro. I'm glad that we've met when we did, to all three of you, and thanks for going through this crazy, incredible journey of the thrill of the chase. I don't think it's over. I think we'll still have some new info. It may take months, could take years, but when that solution comes out, we will be here to talk about it. Or if Justin figures it out, he's going to come on here and tell everybody as well. So,
No, likewise, guys. Thanks for having us on. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the community lives on. Like we say, there is still a treasure hunting amusement park. There's other rides out there. It may not have the same thrill. It may not be as big a ride, but they're there if you're interested in those things. And the new creators that are coming up with their own treasure hunts, which I think is great as well. So thanks you guys for coming on tonight. Any last words, anybody, before we sign off? Okay. K-Pro, you good?
Yeah, I started see, I get distracted.
I know.
Some people are asking me to call them. Please hit me up via email on Thor, Facebook, whatever. I'm going to try to catch up. I was actually, a lot of people were concerned that I didn't have a lot to weigh in tonight. I spent a lot of time on the phone with searchers, but I also had some family time. I have about 100 emails to get through, and I'm sorry. I'm trying as fast that I can. I know I have one critic that says I don't put enough time into responding to every single email. I only have so much time, guys. So I'm trying. So if you have something, I'm going to start going through email. But I appreciate you all for giving me your thoughts. I can't get to every email. Like Jack, email Jack. Jack wants to hear from you guys. Why don't you email Jack instead of me?
Alan Kelly says the new chase game should be You Don't Know Jack. And the movie should be called Jack in the Box. All right, everybody.
Oh, I love that
Good
game.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thank you to the moderators, Hooli, Copper Dan. I even saw Dave Calvi out there with a wrench. How'd that happen? Thank you guys for keeping the chat clean, somewhat clean. We appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats. We're still going to go live Mondays and Thursdays about treasure hunts. That's what we talk about. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We do appreciate it. And Joshua Pritchett, sixtreasuresfilm.com has the teaser, episode 2. We'll talk about it, Joshua. You still need to come on the program and talk about it. All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks for coming on. And congratulations, Jack.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Congratulations
Everybody.
to adopting
Good
this
job.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys.
All right. We're out. Thanks.